We had him for
Did you train it, or did you just have it run in a wheel and just do nothing else other than that?
I'm
Or
all about
did
that
you
bass, so I made that
just,
little hamster run.
Oh,
bro.
so you like put a subwoofer right next to its thing and just like had torture, like you tortured it through bass sounds and stuff. Probably fucking killed itself because you tortured it with bass.
Actually, we got rid of him. He didn't die. We're progressive, thank you. When we have problems, we just give our children away.
My dad said that we gave it to the farm, and
Tell me I'm wrong now. Tell me I'm wrong. We gave it to somebody else, and then he was happy. He wasn't happy. We weren't happy. We weren't collaborative.
Because you were.
It was against the flow, man, and you just don't get it.
Blasting subwoofers into
because you don't like good music. Modern music's the only good music. Old stuff is bad because it's old and no other reason.
All right, Wolfgang. Get out of here, please.
Yo, it's so true. Yo, are we going? Yo, guys.
Bonjour.
Welcome to Guys Talking About Stuff.
This is Kevin.
Alex.
Josh.
We're the guys.
Talking about stuff.
And today's stuff
is guitars and stuff.
Yo.
Guitars and stuff.
You're going to notice this episode's mic'd so much better than the last couple.
Yeah, gee, I wonder who that's up to.
Yeah. I wonder
Josh is
how many
here.
of you guys...
Audio's better.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's because of Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've just been slacking off these last couple weeks.
Kevin, were you in the last couple podcasts with him?
He's been in all of them.
Yeah, I've been in all the.
I couldn't help but notice that
ones.
there was a chair where somebody was sitting talking into that really crappy PreSonus M7, and someone was talking into the back of it because of the way it was facing. So someone was talking into the back of the diaphragm of the microphone.
Yeah. It depends because we switch off every week, so
Yeah, we moved.
Someone sounds really bad.
We moved something around, and
The
it didn't quite go so well.
last podcast we were actually across the table from each other, so it probably wasn't the last one. Like the
last one we
Blade
actually
Runner.
nailed, except then Cameron sat in the wrong seat for the sports podcast, so that's the one that you remember being bad.
I wasn't in
the sports podcast. So.
Anyway, where specifically do we want to start with this madness?
Let's start where
Let's
you
start
guys
from the
started.
Here's-
What was your guys' first?
That's
guitar?
what I wanted to start with. Like, where did we start with guitar? Like, how about this? Like, where does like the inspiration come from? Like, what was like that moment where you're like, maybe I want to play guitar? Like, that's freaking cool.
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Mike Campbell.
I remember the specific moment because my brother because I came home from school and some kid showed me like some rap music, and I was talking to my brother and I was just like, I think I like rap music, and he's like, no, you don't like rap music, you like Led Zeppelin. And I was like, okay. And then he put 102.9 on the radio, and there was like a Led Zeppelin song,
Whole Lot of Love, probably.
Yeah.
Like,
and I was just like, what is that sound? And he's like, it's an electric guitar. And I was like, holy shit. And I was like, that's fucking awesome.
Oh, it is.
And then like from then on I just wanted to play guitar, and then I just Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, man, Zeppelin. Zeppelin took over like my teen years, but I remember the first thing for me was AC/DC. I remember being like, probably like first or second grade on the playground. And I remember like going like TNT,
Yeah.
and I'd peg kids playing dodgeball. It was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
I remember one time I hit a kid in the face, and like I had to go to like the office, and they're like, he said you were like mocking him afterward. I was like,
I was singing
like, TNT. I wasn't taunting him. I was singing a song.
Yeah.
I was having fun pegging kids in the faces because I was like, I'm gonna be a Little League World Series MVP, and that never happened because I wasn't good at baseball. But let's not talk about that.
No, when I went to see Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers 2010 for my birthday. It was like July 31st or something like that. And I
So
just
4-year-old Josh.
watched the whole night there, and it was like, my God, just what a guitar player, what a fucking.
That'd been cool to see him in
Group
2010.
of
I saw them 2014.
I saw
something
them
like
three
that.
times.
Before he died.
I saw them 3 times. I saw them 2010, 20, maybe 2014 with the Hypnotic Eye tour. That's when Hypnotic
It was
Eye came out,
Hypnotic
right?
Eye. That's the one I saw.
2014,
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see it at Allentown
I saw it.
at the PPL Center?
I think it was
BB and B&T.
what is it? The
Santander.
Santander.
Oh, up in Reading?
It might have been that
I
one.
didn't see him. I saw him at the Allentown.
And
one.
Oh, yeah,
Stevie
Tom
Winwood opened for him.
Yeah, Steve Winwood, yeah.
That was
Tom
Oh,
Petty
great.
did
man.
play Reading.
Great
I
show.
remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I saw him. It was a great show.
Tom Petty's great.
Yeah.
My
Well-
first thing with music that like got me into
Made
music
great.
was Metallica. Was my father was I was
My
coming
first
home. I
love
was
was
in
Metallica.
I was in elementary school actually. I was like I don't even know. I was like 6 years old or something like that. And he's like, all right. And he's like, it's time to show you this. He pulls out Reload and he's like, this is Metallica. And he puts in the first thing I hear is, give me fuel, give me fire, give me that one. And this whole thing. And I was just sitting there and I was like, oh, you know. It's just
I remember hearing that in like games, like that specific song was in Test Drive Off Road, and I was used to hear it, and I was like, this song sounds cool, but I never really liked metal until I started working where I do now in the kitchen because the head cook listens to metal all the time, and
Good man.
Good man.
Good
yeah, then I
man.
started listening to Metallica and stuff, and that was great. That's how it got out of the '70s and went into the '80s.
But we all know the best Metallica albums Kill 'Em All because Dave Mustaine's the best member they ever had. Anthrax is better than Metallica.
Well, no, the
That-
best Megadeth album is
That
Risk.
might not be wrong.
What did you say?
Risk is the best. Did you say Kill 'Em All is the best Metallica album?
No, no,
Even
no.
Risk is better than the best
the,
Metallica
the
album.
Dave
Like, we-
Mustaine thing. He's
What?
probably like the most advanced musician that was in the band.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
I agree with Kevin. This is a 2-on-1.
Yeah.
So we have a documented proof that Metallica sucks.
I didn't say that.
No. I
didn't
love
say that.
Metallica.
Yeah.
Although I did just sell my sealed Ride the Lightning to Jeff for other stuff.
You
I
had
got
a seal. Was it an original?
No, it was like a 2010 repress, but it was still worth like
They're
30,
not
40
good.
bucks.
They're not. Those represses are.
Yeah, I
good.
heard that. So I'm like, I got the digital.
They sound like crap.
I got the digital copy thing, so I used that. And then I'm like, I gave that to him, and I was able to get like a Van Morrison album, and I also got Grateful Dead, Vintage Dead, and I also got Def Leppard Hysteria original. It's actually a cool item because it's in really good condition. So
What's the next point you had on there? So we had like where we started with.
So
guitar.
yeah, I was thinking like, so I've been playing for like 10 years. So I guess the start would be like 13 for me. Like, where were you guys?
I
Like,
started
when did
I
you
was,
decide like, okay, I'm actually doing this?
I
Because I mean, I got a guitar from when I was like 8, but I didn't seriously play it till I was like 13.
I played clarinet
12 or something.
in like 3rd and 4th grade until the teacher just like stopped showing up in the room and didn't tell me where he moved to. And like I was like, all right, screw this, I'm not doing it anymore. And then I actually got a violin from my great aunt and could not play it, could not get a sound off of it. And then my great uncle was like, I got an old guitar because he actually made a record back in the 60s, and he had this like old classical guitar, but like the action on it's so high, it's ridiculous. But
It's one of those BB King guitars
yeah.
where it's like,
yeah, but
tough, man.
he gave me that, and it was I was 11. Yeah, so I started when I was 11.
I was 13.
Yeah,
When I was 13,
Okay.
I had talked to my father about it, and they got me this like $100 or $200 Great Divide acoustic. That's actually really impressive, and like how it sounds. And I started on acoustic. I just kind of went from there. My first electric was a Les Paul Special 2, like an Epiphone. Oh god, it's a piece of crap.
my first electric was Ibanez Geo. I got one of those starter packs. You get a you get a
Squire
10
Strat.
watt.
Squire Strat. I think I take the cake with the worst piece of shit. It was a 17 fretted.
I'm glad you interrupted Kevin for
was
that.
that your first guitar or first like electric? I'll get back to what I was saying.
That was my first electric and my first guitar.
Okay, you could have just said first guitar. But
I wanted to
Kevin
freak in your mind, man.
yeah, I got a 10 watt amp and Ibanez Geo with it, which it sounds good. It had a wah.
a wah
not
wah bar.
That was
yeah.
my bad.
Whammy.
Yeah, a whammy bar.
whammy.
Yeah.
Whammy.
But I still have that. I always take strings off of it, so I can never really use it. But I need to put strings on it.
You
so I
never
can
take
use it.
strings off of
I always take like a string off of it. 'cause
Yeah,
I need
yeah,
it
I
for
saw you
something
because you're
else.
like, well, I need this string, so take all that.
But
Christ almighty.
yeah, I just bought new strings, so I should probably string it.
Yeah. Yeah. What was your first like good, like real, like
First real
actual
guitar.
guitar?
Well, that's the one that I have now. I have
The Epiphone.
the Epiphone Les Paul. I got that off of Musician's Friend for $420. It's a nice, gets good tones.
Is it
and
like a
stuff.
traditional style or like a sunburst?
It's Sunburst,
Sun-
yeah.
Okay. Is that the one you had like all in high school?
Mm-hmm.
When they're
Yeah.
playing,
It's
when
a
you're
good
playing
guitar.
with your band.
Yeah. Septum.
Septum.
Yeah.
Yo, if Sean's listening, or Sean's dad listens
Yeah.
too, so
Yeah. Yeah, I see him
Yeah.
I see him where I work.
Oh, cool.
What about
Yeah,
you?
he comes in there. Yeah. Oh, my first
you?
real one was Epiphone SG because Angus Young was my dude.
I remember that.
So I got the red. I even put a fucking AC/DC sticker on the guitar on the
Yeah.
front.
Oh, God.
And it was huge. It was one of those like 8-inch stickers. It came with the Iron Man 2 Super Edition of the soundtrack, which I was so pissed when I saw that movie because they only had
Holy
3
crap.
AC/DC songs in
Yeah.
it. And it's like you advertise AC/DC soundtrack, and I'm like, whoa, Marvel movie? So I'm gonna get like superheroes, and it's gonna be cool AC/DC. And I liked the first Iron Man, and then Iron Man 2 was a bad movie with terrible music. Well, no, okay, no, it was fine, like orchestra stuff, but like I wanted like like Highway to Hell to be playing as like fighting. And
Well, they
shit.
were evolving into their own thing.
I know. It just wasn't my. It wasn't my Iron Man 2. My Iron Man 2 would have been better. My 13-year-old me wanted a better Iron Man 2.
So with your first
no,
Oh, you were gonna say?
15-year-old me.
My first like actual like good guitar was a Gretsch Electromatic, the 5120s. So it was like the low end hollow body that
Still Gretsch.
isn't like it isn't low end at all.
Yeah.
Like it's a Gretsch, but I did a couple things to I like modified some stuff. I gave it a gold pick guard. I put a roller bridge on it that gives it this
still have
glassy tone. Yeah, it's my main. That's my main guitar that I use like all the time. And it's this glassy tone, so it rolls over. It's so good. It's such a great fucking guitar. But dice knobs on it, like Brian Setzer, because I love Brian Setzer.
Brad Setzer's a cool dude.
Yeah, so that was my first. And then I had that 65 Martin D18 that had been in the family for a while. So that was like my first real acoustic guitar. And
That's really fucking cool.
and like
Josh.
now I can't buy another acoustic guitar ever because it's like, why would I do that? Because I
Yeah.
have the Martin.
Yeah, I got
I
an
can't really go
acoustic
up much.
guitar from the last singer in my last band. I got it for like $60, but it's a nice, really nice acoustic. I'm not really sure what it is. It says "Made in China" on the back.
Oh,
He said it's probably like the Chinese Martin, a Charton.
A Charton, man.
Charton. Good.
Well, they do
lord.
Chinese Gibsons, and they're called Chibsons.
Gibsons, yeah.
And then I have another guitar that I got from Dylan Becker's house because Sam Geen left it there. He was going to smash it, but he left before he smashed it. So I just grabbed it. But the
What a story, Mark.
what's it? Where the
Yo,
strings
Sam's
go
gonna hear
through?
this.
Oh, the in the body, yeah.
Yeah, it's like coming off.
Oh, the bridge is.
Yeah, it's
Kinda
like
old.
ripping
Yo,
off.
you
He
should
knows.
message Sam and be like, if you still want to
Uh-oh.
break it, let's do this
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
video.
Yeah,
Yo,
we should
I would be
video
so
that,
down
yeah.
that. Yo, let's smash a guitar for the channel, man.
Then I'd need a
I'd be
second.
down.
I'd need a second acoustic.
Yo, we could get Tom to set up some like low time the fast rate camera thing, so it takes it really quickly, so we can catch like it in slow motion
Yeah.
as it's like do some really cool stuff
Yeah,
with it.
that would be cool.
That'd be awesome. Help us destroy a guitar,
Yeah,
or if you just want to do it, we don't need Sam's permission.
yeah, that's
like,
true. He doesn't. It's
not really his. He was gonna destroy it, so I mean, it's trash.
Probably have it longer than he. Had.
Legally, it's trash.
Legally, it's trash.
I mean, it's just gonna
Because
fall
it's
apart
this
anyway.
podcast, and I want no legal ramifications.
Right. Legal
It was
ramifications on a podcast that like 10 people listen to.
37.
I
Thank
thought it was
you.
7. We've grown. We've grown by 10-fold since I last did one. 'Cause last time I did one, I was like, yeah, we have like 3 people. that
Yeah, now we
watch
have 30.
this. Yeah, now we have 30.
So we talked about the
That's not bad.
first electrics we got, but what I said
Acoustic?
the first
I said my first guitar was an acoustic. Yeah, my first real one was the Martin.
well, I was saying the electric. I said what the first amplifier I got. What was the first amplifier you
yeah.
guys had?
Yeah. Well,
Oh, amp.
the first amp I ever had, like period.
Yeah, well,
Oh
yeah.
god, it was a Fender Mustang 2.
Hey, that's
Fucking-
better than it gets credit for. That's
Yeah.
not a
You
terrible
know,
amp.
it is not in fact a terrible amp, but it's just like now I look back at it and I'm like, oh man. I sold it eventually so I could get another guitar. I think with like one of the guitars I traded with Mike. I think at one point it was to help me get a Kirk Hammett LTD that I couldn't end up using
Wow.
because the Floyd Rose was so shitty on it. The strings kept popping out when I would bring it up to standard tuning. So I had to junk that one. And I got
What
that.
was that?
That was a Kirk Hammett LTD.
You junked it?
No, I didn't junk it. I sold it back to Sam Ash, and I got a vintage Squire Strat with a maple neck.
Oh,
And it was quite nice, actually. It was only a couple $100. It was great. Great little guitar. So, yeah, that was my first, like, first amp in general. I guess we'll do this. Then we'll go to like real amps. What was your first?
My
amp?
first amp in general. Marshall 10 watt little MG.
Yeah. That was probably still like $900.
Has 5 knobs on it. It was volume, gain, low, mid, high.
That's all you need.
It's funny how I had like a what
Buzz
30
like a
$30 $40 amplifier. You had like
$100,
$100 one
or something like
he
that.
goes like, yeah, I had a Marshall.
It was like the lowest end Marshall you could get, but
I don't care. It's still a Marshall.
I had a piece of crap Squire into it. Had I had any kind of guitar at all into it, it would have been nice.
Oh, dude, my first guitar was a Charvel. Fucking.
That was okay. That was like my first like legit guitar.
Was your Charvel?
I mean, I have a bunch of really nice.
You don't consider
ones.
your Epiphone? You said your Epiphone.
I have that. I had that Epiphone. I still have an Epiphone. I have a different one. I have a lot of guitars.
Yeah, you do. I have like 4.
I have a lot. I have
like 12.
Definitely have more guitars than you guys.
Yeah.
Do you really?
Oh my god, yeah.
I've only ever seen like
I would like
3.
I love guitars.
I would like to
man.
have more guitars, but you know,
No, I've got a.
they add up.
I've got the Gretsch. I've got my first Great Divide. I have another Great Divide. I have the Martin. I have a crappy LTD. I got at Cash Converters. I have that crappy Hamer. I have a lap steel.
I have one.
Songs. I have like 8 guitars or something like that. I have my classical.
Do we count a mandolin? Mandolin definitely counts.
I have a mandolin.
Yeah, it's instruments. Yeah. I'm one a drum kit, but
Okay, we're
I
gonna
also
count.
have a keyboard too. So
All right,
just
I'll
gonna
run
start
through the
throwing in
instruments
the
real
stuff.
quick.
All right.
This is a good one. It'll only take 3.5 minutes. I'm going to start with the exotic ones. I'm going to do the didgeridoo and the Irish flute first. I have a mandolin. I have a lap steel. I have a keyboard that also is an electric piano. I have an 80s vintage crappy little dinky piano that was my dad's.
yeah, I was
I
messing with
have
that.
an acoustic that was my dad's, like an Ovation or something. I have a 12-string Fender acoustic. If I had electric,
oh, I
that'd
have a
be really
12-string
cool.
as well.
I have a red LTD with a Floyd Rose. I have my black Les Paul LTD. I have the big hollow body,
ES 335.
Yeah.
But it's an Epiphone. It's an Epiphone.
but it's really nice. The Charvel, which is great. My dad's Vantage Avenger. His original Fender Music Master. Shit, is there anything more? My bass, my 5-string bass.
Your Kirk Hammett.
My Kirk Hammett.
Don't you have a Kirk Hammett?
Oh, the one's kind of a Kirk Hammett, but it's not really. I already said it. That was the red LTD.
Oh, okay. You have your white Charvel.
Yeah.
Scalped.
Let's see what else. Like, yeah, I know. I've like listed so many things. Like,
I think that's it.
I think that's
Yeah,
it.
it sounds
that
about-
sounds like it, but like, let's see, 2 acoustics, like 6 electrics, 2 keyboards, didgeridoo, mandolin, lap steel, Irish flute, rich, and
You're
a lot of them are low end. Like a lot of the exotic stuff's like the lowest end of them. Like, I did not pay $500 for a didgeridoo. I paid $25 at a Sam Ash during a Christmas sale for a didgeridoo.
Did you hear the intro I did for the Led Zeppelin?
I haven't
episode?
listened. I haven't really listened to the podcast
you should listen
much.
to
I just
that.
kinda, like,
That's good.
Going around. Did you play
He
something?
did an improv, and then I structured a song off of that, and then I did that on his 12-string for the intro of the Led Zeppelin episode, and he did some little improv lyrics over it. It sounds really good, though.
Interesting, yeah. So we talked about crappy amps. What was your first real amp? Like your first usable amp?
Along with my Les Paul, I got a Line 6 Spider
Nice.
4 75 watt.
God.
It's not a great amp, but it
It's a Line 6.
it
Of course
does
it's not a
everything you
great
need
amp.
to do.
Hey, Line 6 makes great effects. If you don't get it, you just don't understand the quality of digital. Digital's the modern age. We don't need to pay money for movies. We should get them for free on my streaming service.
I mean, before that, I had the Ibanez 10 watt, and then I had a Peavey
PV the Viper.
Yeah.
You had a Viper? I had a fucking 30-watt PV Viper, and it was... Okay, let me be frank. It did some cool things for being like 14, 15 years old.
Actually, it's not the Viper. It's
But
the one that's out in the barn.
I realized it was shit. Oh, that thing, yeah.
That was the second one I had.
PV, like, I played the thing. I'm like, this thing's a fucking dump. Like, it's terrible. But it did some cool effects, and it made me happy at 15. And then I got that tube amp. I got the Vox.
Yeah.
And then I took it to my band practice and realized it wasn't loud enough, so I needed to get something bigger. So I got that freaking 125-watt tube amp, Bugera, which is a Mesa Boogie amp. It was like made by people who used to work for the people.
If you're talking real, like good amp, that would be recently. I got from him the Vox tube amp,
and the Vox is really nice.
Yeah.
And it's like the sound I've been looking for like since I've been playing guitar.
That was when you blew into the microphone there. That was really loud.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's an instrument mic, so it can't.
Tubes sound great though. Tube amps.
Oh yeah,
can't beat them unless you're Dimebag Darrell, and then you're like, I want it to sound like. You know?
It depends on what sound you're going for. I just like that.
Are you saying Dimebag Darrell's
more classic sound?
Oh no, his tone is great for how he dials it in, but like
He
it would
would
work
never
for
be
no
able,
other style
he
of
would
music.
never be able to get that on a tube amp, probably.
Well, and what I'm saying is like if he played any other genre of music, he could not have used that setup.
That's right. Yeah.
He could have only done Pantera. Like Pantera works because everything just happened right.
I think he would have been able to like go into classical style. That would have been.
I mean,
cool. If you look at some of his work, it's
Yeah.
he was an incredible guitar player.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about amps. I guess the first like real. I'm trying to think of what order. I think the first real amp I had was actually a vintage Rickenbacker RG60. Like a 30-watt too. It was
Over here, call me rich for having a $10 Irish pan flute thing.
I paid $99.
Oh, I have a pan flute. I have a Panamanian thing. You paid what?
I paid $99 for it.
For what?
For the Rickenbacker.
What?
It was at it was a Guitar Center actually. I found it at Guitar Center's website.
I could have believed you were
And
like it was like Cash Converters and it said generic.
Oh, it was like $99. I mean, it was a solid state 30-watt. It wasn't a huge thing. It's a little
Better
the
than
knobs.
the Peavey.
Knobs are a little screwy on it, but I like it. It's great. And then Christmas one year, everyone chipped in. I bagged that Fender Blues Deluxe reissue Tweed that I use and abuse the ever living crap out of all the time. Like you turn it on, it's already just like it's hissing and stuff. Like it's mad.
She's the best girlfriend
it's
ever.
Mad
you know?
at me. It's mad at me. It doesn't like me anymore. But yeah,
She's there to purr when you need her to play.
that amp
We
does sound
just
fucking
lost
great,
3
though.
subscribers.
That amp does sound great though. Both amps are not bad.
We also just gained 3 subscribers. No net loss. No net. We don't care about you fans. We only care about our net fans. We're the network. We only make product, not art. Because art's for dumb people who are liberal.
Yeah, we're just pumping.
I'm
these
joking.
out.
Because clearly I'm joking.
All right, what's next up on the thing?
Next up on the list. What is your favorite setup that you have? Like, guitar into what?
Okay. Gretsch into a Dunlop Crybaby wah into a, believe it or not, one of those little crappy like I don't remember what company it is. Like it's this little gray distortion pedal that I got Cash Converters for like $10.
Wow.
That I only use really as like a volume pusher for like distortion and whatnot.
Hey, that's good though.
Into a Fender. It's a really cheap effect. Like it's a bad distortion pedal, but it like does just enough to like get a solo tone out of it, like just enough. Into that Fender tube I have. That's my main like go-to.
What kind of Fender
everything.
amp is it? It's a tube?
It's the one I said earlier, the Blues Deluxe reissue.
Oh,
The Tweed.
Oh, I didn't know you. Okay, so Josh actually has a good setup.
Wow, when was Fair not paying attention?
Apparently, the whole time that you were
Bastard.
talking about amps.
Bastard. But yeah, Fair. What about you? What's your preferred setup?
My setup is my 1986 Charvel M3 with scalloped frets, Floyd Rose system, top of the line, badass motherfucker.
Mr. Coolio over here.
Does every sound from Hendrix to Eddie Van Halen And you can dial it back to get a Dave Gilmour. You could really throw some fuzz on for a Hendrix, really fuzzed up kind of thing. So you do that Charvel into my Boss ME80, which is great. It's multi-effect. It does everything I need it to do. I still have some pedals, though. I still have a Boss Super Chorus, which Super Chorus just sounds great. And I have some other kind of pedals I throw in, but I use them occasionally. But pretty much it's the Charvel into the ME80 into my Bugera amp, which is a tube amp. Sounds great.
I found the thing I was doing. Fab distortion is what it's called.
Oh, you have
Fab.
the little
That little tiny thing. Yeah.
the Dan Electro little
Basically, yeah.
well, no,
Yeah.
they are
They're cheap and they're not fantastic.
yeah, it's a
but they
Dan Electro
do-
Fab. It's a little POS, but it actually sounds better than it should
Honestly, yeah. Like
for being a plastic paddle.
by itself,
Made
I would
in
never
China.
use it. But like, I only use it just to give a little. Like, I don't I turn the distortion down just to give it a little push for solos and whatnot. That's really all I kind of use it for. I want to get either no, geez, I don't know, like a Rat, because my buddy's got a Rat distortion
Rats are
pedal.
nice.
And he doesn't like it because he's not a big metal guy, but he has it just for and turns it down. And the tube
I
screamer would
have
be
the
nice.
tube. I have a
Tube screamer would be nice.
TS9DX, which does 4 different tube screamer tones. So that's a really cool pedal. But it's like you're gonna be dropping $120 minimum.
Yeah.
So I was like, So
Kevin, what about you?
Well, rats are good, but they're harder to contain than mice. All right, I'd say my favorite would be what I
That
have
was punny.
right
Kevin
now,
Mike's
which
getting turned all
I
the way
can
down.
I can contribute to this guy over here, Alex. I got the Vox tube amp, and then my my Les Paul for the guitar, and then I have a noise suppressor, an equalizer, and the compressor. Say the compressor is the best part there.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a simple little get together.
Simple setup, but it works.
And if I added in my wah pedal too, it'd be probably all that I need for everything.
What wah pedal do you use?
Oh, Crybaby.
yeah.
Crybaby. I really want
That's a good
whatever. I really want whatever kind it is where like it. I think it's. I think maybe Behringer makes or something like that. It's like where it activates without you having to click the button. You know, like I want one of those.
You want a
'cause,
Behringer pedal. I've never had anybody
Well, how
tell me
would it
they wanted
activate,
Behringer
Huh?
before.
How does it activate?
But you use it, but like when
Mike
it's in
has
when it's
that.
in the full up position, like when it springs back. So like when you get off it, it immediately turns it off. And when you put your foot on it, and you push it down like even a little bit, it turns it on. So it starts the wah sound. So,
Okay, but wouldn't you have to
it's-
keep it moving around the whole time then?
What do you mean?
Or do you have to like click it back into that position?
You don't have to click it at all.
Like
Oh, he's
with a
saying when you let
regular
go of
wah,
your
you
foot.
can just like click it, like you can move it to one spot and leave it there, so you can get that one sound for a little bit.
I mean, I guess you can't really
hold it.
I guess you can't really do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like if you want to just have it for a little bit, like
Yeah, to get the main.
yeah, because that's the thing I always
So you
found
can
wrong
Kirk
with
Wayman it
my
up.
with my wah pedal was that I'd always like hate the sound of not having it turned on, but then turn it on, it down. It's just it's so trebly and just so
Yeah.
harsh. It's like
Yeah.
Well, you can just click it
you
off.
know?
Yeah, sometimes
No,
I just
but like when I'm going into the wah, like I couldn't find like a balance in between.
sometimes
I'd
I'll
rather-
click it
I
on
don't
just
know.
for that little edge.
The
that you get
Crybaby
to it.
wah.
Interesting.
The
Yeah,
Crybaby
yeah.
wah is like the gold standard of
Yeah.
wah pedals. Like I have one. Like I have a wah I can do on my ME80, but I prefer using the Dunlop Crybaby because it's the classic
Yeah,
wah.
the quality. Like if you go
It
and get a
sounds good, too,
Crybaby,
you
it's most likely going to work, and it's going to work just how you need it to. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't use my wah a whole lot, but I should. I should get a little more
yeah,
use on it instead.
I need another lead cable so I can plug in my wah.
Okay. Dream guitar rig.
Dream rig.
Like you can put anything together.
Christ almighty. I think about this a lot, and
there's no value.
my answer always changes.
Oh.
My answer changes so much because like some days I want a Rickenbacker 620.
Oh.
Other days I want like a fat 360 like old school George Harrison like body 6-string, and just go fucking nuts on that. Other days I want like a Gretsch Tennessee or like a Chet Atkins. But like recently I've been thinking about like if I'm gonna pay like $2,000 for an electric guitar, I might go like Ernie, like an Ernie Ball Music Man.
Yeah.
Like one of those like whatever the white kind, or like just the Eddie Van Halen style, but like not his specific model, whatever it is.
But it's
They have them like an orange. Like I fucking love that. God. So they got to have an Ernie Ball. If I was to go with like a thing, I'd probably throw it into a Marshall. Like I would find a good Marshall tube amp because they do all around good stuff. You know, I like Mesas too, but I think Marshall has a little more versatility. A little bit,
I like my cheaper Marshall more than my more expensive Bugera because like the Marshall's. It's a Marshall, you know. It's gonna have a nice grit to it, no matter what.
Yeah, I was gonna say
like
a Marshall or a Mesa Boogie.
It's like a Music Man, probably into like the whatever. If Dunlop makes that kind of wah pedal that I was talking about, totally would do that. Then like maybe a Rat distortion, but maybe like something a little higher end. Like I would even go with like what the Gold Screamer or something like that. That like Kirk Hammett's doing with the KDH stuff, because those actually sound really good and they have a lot of versatility to them, I think, anyway, just for like something extra. And then I throw it into a Marshall tube. That's probably what I do. I don't know, I'd have to experiment and do some research on stuff right now, but like my answer always changes. I never know what guitar I would buy if I just had like $3,000 just to blow, you know. It's kind of a hard thing to answer, really, for me anyway.
Yeah. Kevin, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. Like I said, I would also probably pick a Mesa or a Marshall, but I'd probably go with the Marshall for the amp tube. And then for a guitar, I would like. Growing up, I've always wanted like a real Les Paul, good Gibson Les Paul. But if I was gonna go buy a guitar, and if I had money for it, I'd probably get a Carvin, like just custom make a Carvin. Yeah. And
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. And then I'd just probably use the pedals that I have now, just a compression and an equalizer into that. And that would probably be all I need. Be good. Alex?
I would do the... I'd want a very, very high-end, like, Fender American Strat custom with... Gonna go bold here. 3 humbuckers that coil tap. So I can get every tone ever.
Just getting into the pickups now, too.
Maple... I'm gonna go real bold, because this is dream everything.
I would go coil tap.
Maple neck, triple humbucker that coil tap with I'm gonna go with an ebony fretboard on it, because this is just
good.
bold as shit.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a good combo.
That into I love my Boss ME80, but I'm sure there's probably a better system out there that's like super high end. Like I'm not really familiar with them, so into whatever that is.
Yeah, that's just me saying that without research.
Into probably, in all honesty, I'd probably want a really good like Fender clean tube amp, because it's something where I could put my effect system in. It'll handle really, really well with that. Fenders always do effects well. I could put any number of pedals in. I'd throw a Klon Centaur in there, use my Ibanez Tube Screamer. I get a whole bunch of other pedals in there, do some stuff, effects processor, into this really nice Fender tube. And then I could do really whatever. And a Fender tube amp with Tube Screamer on, nothing beats that with a Strat into it. Oh, sounds like heaven. That's like Dave Gilmour and Clapton and Hendrix and everybody. Although I would love to also have a Marshall amp too, because then getting that Hendrix like mean, meaty, attacking guitar is so hard to do on a Fender.
Yeah.
That's why you get the Fender and the Marshall. And I know some people who are like, oh, you get a Mesa Boogie, because a Boogie is kind of like a Fender clean with a Marshall gain, but it doesn't sound like either of them. It sounds like its own thing.
I sent you that thing from Jimmy Page, right? He's like
doing his own
partnering
amp
up with Fender and making an amp with him, like a limited edition.
Wow.
Yeah.
He made a limited telly a little while back.
Yeah, he
It was
did,
like
yeah.
stupid expensive.
That was
That's why
recently too. Yeah,
that amp's gonna be like $10,000.
he the first amp that Jimmy Page like was using in the early 70s was actually a Rickenbacker Transonic, which is like as tall as one of us. Like it's a huge amp, and he didn't like the sound of it, and he was switching over. He left it in a parking lot, like in like a beach somewhere. He left it in a parking lot.
Oh, well,
and
Eric-
Rickenbacker has it now.
Eric Clapton
Wow.
was in a band. That his
He
first-
was in a band.
Well, yeah.
It was called Cream.
I'm not sure what it was called, but it was his first touring band. They had a
Yardbirds.
van, and they toured around like Europe, stuff like that. And they said that they were in a hotel or something like that, and he was just tired of it, and he wasn't feeling it. And he had this really nice Gibson Les Paul, and it like had a really nice like starburst finish and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He said that he's just like, I'm going to the bathroom, got up and left. He just left, went home. Left his guitar there and everything.
Yo.
Why?
Uh-oh.
And
he
what,
just
Jimmy
got-
Page?
No, that was Eric Clapton.
Oh, Claudia.
But he was just
Wow.
wasn't feeling it, I guess. But like,
Yeah.
why would you leave
Where
the-
else have we heard that this week?
Yeah.
Yo, that's nuts. That's nuts.
Sometimes creative people can be insane.
I know.
And we've all
Yeah.
had firsthand encounters with me. That was the joke, but I couldn't fucking say it. My lips like
First,
my lips like, you know what? I want to make myself a stuttering asshole today. Huh? I used to stutter
So-
pretty bad, and like I worked at it to not stutter. And when I kind of like really get into something and talk about it, I have no problems.
Yeah.
But in regular conversation, I'm gonna stutter like 8 fucking times in a fucking paragraph. So
yeah.
that's why like podcast stuff's cool, because you're like, what am I saying?
Yeah.
People are gonna hear me.
Yeah.
So
No
like,
stuttering.
so what's your favorite like type of guitar to play? Like do you like small like small body thin guitars with like humbuckers, or like like semi hollows with like what's your
I love
what do
everything.
you feel comfortable with playing the most?
I'm a Fender guy. Like I always tried not to be. I was always Gibson, Marshall. That's the only way to do things. And then I started playing around with stuff, and I'm like, Fender Strats just sound so freaking good. The good ones.
Yeah.
I had a bad experience with a Squier Strat, and I hated them forever. And then I gave them a shot again when I played like an actually good like $2,000 Fender, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, these are fucking nice, man. So I love like the Fender style, but I also have my big hollow body. And it's just fun to
yeah,
play.
that one's nice.
Like getting that thing, I just feel like I want to like drop the needle on an Elvis record, play along, and just have a great afternoon. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably like solid bodies more with humbuckers. But I also I have the coil tap on my Les Paul, and it has I'm not sure what the exact pickups are, but they're supposed to be older style pickups that were used in the 70s.
thing.
Yeah.
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 But like with the compressor and everything, it sounds really like crisp. It's really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like the hollow bodies a lot. I haven't played them too much, but like I like the sound that you can get from them. But there's definitely like certain places for them. Like,
Yeah.
solid bodies are more for heavier playing, I guess, and then hollow
then there's
bodies
me.
are good for the
You haven't heard me play,
more
have you?
classically styled.
Oh, ham
I mean,
fisting Henry over here.
I mean, well, no, like when I do like stuff with the band of the Taco Brothers from all our old teachers from high school, I'm cranking everything and that's doing it on a Gretsch hollow body.
Yeah.
That's like I guess I'm so used to the hollow body. I love, and I can totally do a solid body. Like there's no question. I love solid body guitars and like just like the Super Strat styles and the Les Pauls. Like I could play a Les Paul. I prefer not to, but like I could if I use one. I would want one at some point in my life. But hollow bodies are kind of more.
It wouldn't
of
look.
my,
I don't think it would look right on you.
that's the thing.
a
Is like
Les
I like the
Paul,
bigger body. I just like the way it feels. Like I can
Josh just
find a
needs a
better
bigger
spot
guitar.
on it.
Yeah.
Can you please not interrupt me?
He's right though. He's right.
I was just adding value to your talking.
Stop it.
Liberal.
That's I knew you were gonna do it, and I was like, for the love of God, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Because I hate that. I hate that above anything else. This is when people interrupt me and stuff. And you do that the best. Anyway, No, I prefer a hollow body. Yeah, I love the Gretsch. The Gretsch is kind of my company.
Yeah.
For the time being, I would have another Gretsch, but I don't really need one because I have that one. You know.
You're bigger, but like, have you ever played like an acoustic guitar that's too big for you? Like maybe when you were younger, like where it's just like super wide.
It's a little weird. It is a little weird
Yeah.
especially when you don't know what you're doing with guitar. Yeah, you play like a jumbo and you're like, you're like, but it looks
like,
cool
how
and
the
it sounds good.
Like, how the hell do people
Yeah.
play this?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Josh would know he does that. He does that acoustic nylon life, but he's like,
Well, classicals
Classical
aren't
player,
aren't usually that thick. Some of them are, but like they're not.
They're actually
Huge.
mine's pretty small, like the classical.
Mine's
more
actually right
one-
there.
Yeah,
Mine's,
yeah,
mine's
usually
right there
they're
in that case. Actually, that's about the size of it. It's a Cordoba, so it's not like
The size of the case is
it's not
huge.
It's not humongous.
I'm gonna make a
but the case-
change.
What?
I'm gonna change my guitar. I'm gonna make that Fender with the 3 humbuckers,
Yeah,
that coil tap and
yeah.
everything. I'm gonna make it a semi-hollow body. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be nice.
Oh, and I'm gonna make it a double neck, and one of them's 12 strings, and one of them's just regular. You know what? If we're just going all the way out there, might as well just do that.
Let's just make custom
if I-
guitars. I'd take a
Yeah.
Fender, like a half Fender, half Gibson guitar.
Yeah. Yo, and the Gibson
Christ
give me the
almighty.
12 string, and that'll sound so good when you're doing Stairway.
A
know what?
Stratocaster Les Paul.
You know, something I didn't think of at first is for like a dream guitar would be like a Rickenbacker Capri.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those?
No. I haven't.
Oh my god, I saw one in person one time. I might have a picture of it somewhere. It was at a show, and it was like $10,000 because they're like that hard to find.
yeah.
That expensive, but it was the most beautiful guitar I've ever seen in my life.
I
And that's
bought
like
one
a
for $200.
huge dream guitar.
Someone drop it.
Someone draw.
Oh no, dude! If you drop that, you would have a heart attack. Your strap pops off. No. Yeah.
No, Adam Chandler.
Oh, when I was in school for glass
yeah.
blowing, this kid went to a concert where they had this guy made a glass guitar.
A glass.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So like
I've seen an acrylic one. So
I
yeah,
said
can
that
believe
it would be like I would be
I like the
scared to
acrylic
tune
ones.
it.
I'd have an acrylic one.
But the thing is glass has a higher tensile strength than steel. That looks nice.
That's a Rickenbacker.
Does it
K3.
really?
yeah,
Kevin?
it
That's my
does.
baby.
Yeah,
Fucking baby.
What?
Wow.
With glass? Really?
it does.
So it's hard to break glass then, right?
In some certain way, yeah. Like if it's compression wise or something like that. Yeah.
Meanwhile, like smacking it with a stick, it'll break before
it'll-
steel does.
Yeah, yeah. But that
I
was-
would have
that's
like those
interesting to
those
learn.
acrylic guitars. I don't know who makes them. I forget the company name, but I have one of those. They're cool.
I always thought of a guitar like a hollow guitar with like goldfish or something in there. I think they'd freak out with the
Chainmail.
vibration.
Oh my god, yeah, all that stuff they die
Die,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, I'd love it if chainmail guitar, like it's made of chainmail, and then you're just like, I am a knight.
That'd be kind of like
I am cool.
that'd be
because I like
interesting
Iron
to
Maiden.
like see how that would sound, but that would
Yeah.
be such a heavy guitar.
Like,
Yeah, sure, yeah. I have a Rickenbacker light show as well.
Josh could make it work though. I could see him playing a chainmail guitar.
A chain. Yeah, what do you mean?
With your Bob's jersey
a
on?
chainmail with a Bobrovsky jersey.
He's like, yo,
You could
yo,
play,
yo. He could be Mr. Hockey in the Funky Bunch.
you could play classical metal with the chainmail guitar.
Technical number.
Battle axe on top.
He'd be he's a
Technical
math core.
Oh, stop.
He'd be in a technical math core band.
no, never.
I'm only into technical math core. I heard somebody say that to me once, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? That's the problem with modern guitar players.
Core.
So many guitar
Holy
people
shit.
now, they're into like all these made up genres and shit.
I know.
They're like, there's 855,000 genres. It's like, no, there isn't. There's rock,
There's like
metal, and everything else.
yeah.
And everything else.
There's like
Tell me I'm wrong though. Put on
like
top
that,
40.
that much.
Everything else sounds exactly the same right now. It's like the 80s all over again. Everything that's on the radio sounds exactly the same.
There's rock, metal, and then there's pop music, which
So
includes
crap.
what they call country nowadays.
Yeah.
People are just like, I like country, and I'm like, that is not country.
That's not country music. It's
Yeah.
country. It's pop music dressed up with country stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the glam of country.
It's
really.
glam country,
And
and that's the
They
worst
say,
thing.
oh,
the
I
glam
like
to
country.
country,
but I don't like Johnny Cash or anything like
Oh
that.
my
It's-
god!
Then you don't
Somebody
like country.
actually said that to you.
Yeah, I've had multiple.
I
people
love
say
Johnny Cash to death, and if you,
I'm the opposite way. I'm like,
they're like,
I
like
don't like
Florida
country,
Georgia.
but I like Johnny Cash.
Yeah. Like Johnny Cash is awesome. I like Willie Nelson.
yeah,
I like
exactly.
all those guys because that was like real
Hank
music.
Williams. I'm a big
Yeah.
Hank Williams guy.
Like, I do
turned my
like
mic up, so
country,
I'm gonna be a
like-
lot louder.
But real country, I like.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
the one guitar player guy, he died last year.
I should probably know this.
I have no idea who you're
he
talking
was on
about.
Hee Haw, and Josh is like, I don't know what that. Let me look.
He was on Hee Haw.
No, when I say the name, you'll
Is that a thing?
Hee Haw. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Hee
That's-
Haw.
Turn my mic up a little too much.
Hee
my favorite
Haw
album. That's a little better.
guitarist. Did
Did you say
B.B.
guitar?
King? That was more than 1 year ago.
You
Roy
fucking-
Clark. Roy Clark.
Roy Clark.
He could
okay.
play a mean
Roy
guitar.
Clark.
His Malaguena, it's really crazy. But he did a whole lot of stuff. He could really play.
Who else was it? Brad Paisley's not a bad.
Brad
country
Paisley can
guitar
freaking
player.
play.
He's good.
His jazz stuff's good.
Brian Setzer's my boy,
Brad-
and then
Tom Petty even
Chet
has
Atkins.
some stuff. Tom Petty has some era where it's almost country a bit.
a little bit, yeah. Some Chet Atkins. Chet
Yeah.
Atkins is a great fucking guitar player. My God.
I mean, I love
So
Bob
good.
Dylan and the Grateful Dead, and they border on it.
Could even say like Led Zeppelin 3.
Zeppelin 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Yeah, the country song.
Joni
So,
Mitchell.
Since I've been loving you.
What did you say?
That is like the only blues one on that track, but yeah.
It's one of my favorite songs.
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh,
It's
so
one of the
good.
best. Yeah.
It was so good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, somebody told me that was supposed to be on Zeppelin 2, and I'm like, oh.
There's a lot of songs. If you like actually look into it, they wrote a lot of the songs like Zeppelin 2. There's songs that they wrote earlier that are on.
I heard the
physical graffiti
Rover
and
was from
stuff.
Zeppelin 2. Like,
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that was supposed to be on Zeppelin 2.
Yeah.
And that's why it sounds kind of muffled, because they didn't store the recording right.
Yeah.
So it aged a little bit. And that's why it's
But
the
it gives
only
it-
track on the album that sounds a little...
It gives it some quality though. Like,
Oh, yeah. But yeah, it's from Zeppelin 2. Like, Zeppelin 2 should have been like a mega double album. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
And from a guitar player standpoint, you add Since I've Been Loving You and The Rover to Zeppelin 2, which is already groundbreaking and playing the instrument
Yeah.
as it is. Hi,
Probably
doggo.
better that he split it up.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, Jimmy Page is... I mean,
He's
I
smart.
consider Jimmy Page to be one of, like, the top guys, like, top 5 all time.
Yeah, definitely for composing.
Definitely. And his
Producing.
acoustic stuff's so underrated. It's so good.
Yeah. What was next up on your list?
Okay, so just like some bands, like who were like the bands you started with? Like who did you try to play?
Black Veil Brides.
I only played Blink 182 because 90s skater punk is the best genre.
Oh, you mean Anthrax? Skater thrash metal fucking Anthrax.
That's funny. That did break like some new ground there.
Oh no, I love
did a
that though.
lot.
I love Public
Yeah.
Enemy, Anthrax. That's cool. That's awesome. That's East Coast love, bruh.
And then you have the song, and then you have Nice Fucking Life by Anthrax, and you're like, what is this song? I don't like that song.
They have some hits and some misses there, but
They called their
they're-
best hits album Anthrax Greatest Almost Hits. I think like one of them's called like.
that's funny.
Fair, what are some bands?
So
What
for
did you
me-
have for that?
Obviously the big one, the first one was AC/DC, Angus Young. Like that was crazy for me. There was an energy, and all of their live shows, he would like just come out, and when he would do his solos, he'd go crazy for like 20 minutes, running around the stage, jamming, going crazy, taking his clothes off,
And by
like a
he
wild man.
means Angus Young.
Angus Young,
Yeah.
and
But Malcolm Young's
Young's rhythm stuff's
is
great,
amazing.
It's so underrated.
He plays it in such a different way than you would think. Like it's simple,
plays
but
it
the
on,
way
like, a
he
weird beat,
plays
yeah.
it, yeah.
He gave cool mannerisms, and it just sounds so cool. It's so
Exactly.
them.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like 70s AC/DC, I think all the 70s Bon Scott stuff's perfect. And I think even the first, like, handful of Brian Johnson stuff's great, and then they have a couple of stinkers, and then in the 90s they got back, and I'm like, people make fun, they're like, oh, they never evolved. It's like, okay, here's a couple other bands that never evolved. The Sex Pistols, the Ramones. I mean, there's a lot of great remembered bands that didn't exactly change. I mean, some people could even argue, like, even great people, Van Halen, when they changed, people got pissed off. Like, and that's the thing. There's a lot of famous examples.
Everybody's
of
going to get pissed
a
off.
band
if
making
you
a change.
Yeah, Metallica.
And then Metallica.
Oh my God, they put acoustic guitars in the beginning of Fade to Black, and they were like, "Oh my God, they sold out." Like, this is Ride. They thought Ride the Lightning sold
Did
out.
people really?
Oh my God,
I'm
yeah.
sure
Yeah,
that
they did.
Wolfgang would have.
Yeah.
They sold it out, man.
The acoustic guitar intro of Fade to Black, they were like, "Oh my God, they sold out. That's it." Like, it was like the end of the fucking free world.
And they're like, wait a few albums.
They're just
Here's
like,
the thing:
wait,
is
this
Megadeth's first album started off with piano. It started with the piano, so I can imagine that like those same people weren't sitting there going, "Piano, that's not thrash
Well,
metal."
they started off with that, so that was a good place to start. Start soft, and then you go to other places. So then it's just like, well, we did it on our first album. Fuck you.
Whatever. Kevin, wait, are you done with what else?
Okay, no.
AC/DC.
I also have I kind of like. I wrote like the big early stuff, so like Metallica was a big one early for me. I heard Kill 'Em All, I'm like, oh, this is freaking awesome. Like, da, 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 da. And as like a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid, you want to like run your head through a wall. You want to fight somebody. I played football. I played hockey and stuff. Like, I liked to get the activities in that were violent, you know? And Metallica is pure violence. So you have it in writing now. They can sue Metallica for all the violence. No, those people make me laugh when they're like, they play video games and listen to Metallica. It's gonna make them serial killers. It's like, bruh, they said that about Elvis in '56.
Let's not go too far off track here, but yeah.
I'm not off track. This is the track. The track is down the road in which it's sent. And my mic goes down to 0.
Oh wait, that was Kevin's mic. Shit.
That was Kevin's mic.
Now yours is gone. All right.
Oh, Jesus.
That's shit.
I
All
wasn't
right.
done yet.
Well,
So we also got Megadeth on here, which I always liked more than Metallica. I know, and Josh turns me right back down.
off. No, I mean that's fine. I don't
See,
care.
I always like, for me, hearing Marty Friedman, like I had a period like 15 through like graduation. I heard guys like Marty Friedman, Jason Becker, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, and those guys. I'm like, holy crap! And I was like trying to do some of that stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna do some sweep picking things. I'm gonna do arpeggiatos and all the cool stuff. And then it's like nobody who listens to modern music wants to hear that. It's like, well, now it's 3 years down. Down the toilet, they want to hear a Jack White 3 notes. I like Jack White. I think he makes some good music, but I think I'm a better technical guitar player than Jack White is. I'm just gonna say it. Gonna throw that out there. Gonna start shit before there is shit, bro.
You're gonna get shot.
And then I also Van Halen. That was my dad's favorite band, so I had a steady diet of Van Halen from the time I was like 5. And my dad's like, he'll either understand the songs or I like Van Halen, so I don't care. You know, like,
Yeah.
but Van Halen was awesome. Eddie Van Halen could play a mean guitar. I don't think anybody's going to be
not
able to
debatable,
disagree with
really,
that. I had
yeah.
somebody try and tell me he was trying to tell me he was terrible because Van Halen was Satanist. So I'm like, they talked about screwing women in fast cars. I don't know you could call that
Bob Marley's
Satanism.
a better guitar player than Van
I love
Halen.
Bob Marley, but no. I can believe somebody saying that though.
Woof.
Yo, I read a freaking guitar player list and they had Skrillex as the number 100 guitar player, and that didn't feature Jimi Hendrix, Bob Dylan. Like, it had nobody famous. Like, their list was all like these underground indie people from like the 20s through today that nobody's ever heard of.
Hannah Montana.
The Hannah Montana's not on it, but they had Skrillex at number 100, and they're like, he's revolutionized the future of guitar, which is the synth. And I'm like, they said that in the 80s, and then the 90s happened. Like music always finds a way to be good again. Like the fucking industry tried to make music shit for the 2000s, and it was. Music from the 2000s is garbage, except for like 3 bands. Like, in all honesty, I fucking hate the 2000s. I think movies are terrible. I think the music's terrible. I think it's the low point of society. All of the worst things ever happened. Like, 2000s need to be long behind us.
Yeah.
But I think things are getting better, and there's some new stuff coming out that's good, and there's guitar players getting better. So it's just funny. It's just really fucking funny, man. I got really worked up and excited, so I forgot where I was going.
Well, what's your next band?
I have Guns N' Roses. When I was really young, when you hear Guns N' Roses for the first time, it's like really cool. Mm-hmm. And then you hear it for like the 30th time, and you're like, now it's old. Mm-hmm. And then the next 530,000 times you hear Guns N' Roses song, you're like, please shoot me dead. But Slash is a good player, so that was cool to hear. And I was like, whoa, because he was like a rock and roll guitar player who could do some other shit. Like, he wasn't afraid to do stuff. And I feel like he did a lot of good stuff. My problem with that band's Axl Rose, because I think he's the biggest.
Yeah, they waited like an hour or two.
He would screw fans over. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And I remember buying, I bought Chinese Democracy a week after it came out. At an FYE, it was used for $2, and I didn't realize, like, wait a minute, this just came out. I thought it was a typo. I thought they meant to do 19, or like they meant like $11.99, but it was $1.99. I bought it, took it home. The first song was tolerable. The rest of it was garbage. It was terrible. Like, I would legitimately give it like a 1.5 out of 5. Like, it was a bad album.
I thought you were gonna say 10. I was like, I gave
him
twice the amount that I thought you were gonna give him.
Then I also had like there's one guy who I think's kind of, I'm not gonna say unique to me, but like George Lynch was a guy I listened to, and he could do some crazy stuff, like with Lynch Mob, his solo stuff, and he also was in a band called Doc, and he did some.
What you talking about, like Ice Cube now?
No, there's a band, Lynch Mob. They were kind of, I wouldn't say they were grunge, but they were like heavy metal grunge, like more facelift from Alice in Chains than anything, and some great playing from him. So that really kind of was cool. But then I heard Jerry Cantrell, and then I'm like, whoa, what's this? And then I obviously went on to other stuff, but like, I'd say the first stuff was like AC/DC, Metallica, Megadeth, Van Halen, Guns N' Roses, and George Lynch. Like, that's just keep it short, you know.
Right. Keep it short, he says.
25 minutes later.
Yeah, really. Kevin, what about you?
Well, for me,
early bands, man, for you.
Definitely Led Zeppelin was probably the biggest one. That's where I started off, and then it went into like Pink Floyd. I learned a lot of my soloing from that, and AC/DC, a lot of AC/DC. Oh yeah. Then I went into like the Doors, weird Black Sabbath types of like. And then when I started working where I do now, I got into like Metallica and started learning a lot of Metallica songs until mid-high school. Then I learned about Randy Rhoads because I didn't know about him until then.
Wow.
Then I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ, this is insane. And I started learning
the man.
Ozzy, a lot of Ozzy.
Randy Rhoads is Ozzy's third best guitar player.
I'll kill you.
We all know Zach. Zach E minor pentatonic. Wild should be
Zach overrated Wild.
Zach, he can rip through an E minor pentatonic, but that's about it. Like, everybody makes fun of Kirk Hammett. All of those jokes should just be transferred to Zach Wild because they're actually true.
Anyway, Kevin, continue.
Well, I mean, and then like, other than that, like for metal, I've learned a lot of Pantera and a little bit of Megadeth. Not as much Megadeth, but did learn a lot of Pantera. It was basically the short version of what Alex did.
What Alex did. Yeah.
Hey, my 10-minute tangent was influential.
It
was a bold new direction.
Yeah, there's a whole 4.5 people out there that are loving what you said.
Mm-hmm. I love you 4.5 people. Who was like, now like, when high school came around.
Okay, I guess I don't get to answer then.
I forgot about Josh. Yeah, that's right. It's usually me and Kevin. So usually it's like, yo, Kevin, how's it going? Oh, wait a minute. There's a caveman here. and he's sentient.
Yeah, you try and drink your fucking golden laugh and Christ almighty. Don't get it my floor.
The straw doesn't even reach the drink now.
The best part is we go to Sunoco and it's like 99 cents for any size drink. So we got the large John.
We could double gulp.
We got that double gulp game going.
Diabetes.
But it's not
giver.
actually double the size of the gulp. It's only like an extra like 6 ounces.
Yeah, if you could gulp that in 2 gulps, then you're like Andre the Giant or something like that.
Andre the Giant would take down 2 of these though.
Anyway,
So for Joshua,
gosh,
we're gonna
well,
start with Tom.
I
Posey.
mean, the big first band was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. That's easy. That's like the
I was actually going
whole.
to call that one.
I mean, oh my god!
Yeah,
just
like, I know.
watching Mike Campbell, I would literally like. I had DVDs. I would watch and I'd replay everything in slow motion to figure out exactly what he
That's
was
what I did
doing
with Led Zeppelin.
and learn
I did
every
that with
like
Angus.
individual note. I was obsessed with Mike Campbell. But then I love the Beatles. Still, I did back then, still do now.
yeah.
I was big into the Stray Cats.
Okay.
The Stray Cats and the Brian Setzer Orchestra, I found those guys out. I was like, yo, Brian Setzer is awesome.
Oh yeah.
He's great. I loved Chuck Berry in the
Okay,
beginning.
yeah.
I learned a lot from Chuck Berry. I gotta look through my iTunes here and like
A lot of rhythm players.
look at stuff. Yeah, a lot of rhythm plays, but I have a lot of good stuff. I mean, a lot of lead stuff going on as well. I liked the Byrds. Roger McGuinn is extremely,
yeah,
extremely underrated.
Well, if you like Tom Petty, you probably like the Birds.
If you like
like
the
Yeah.
Birds, you probably like the Animals.
I love the animals, man.
I like the Animals.
House on the Rising Sun.
House
was
on
a
the Rising Sun.
Yeah, that was a horrible rendition of it. But
It's all right.
I meant to do it bad. Why would I sing good?
All right. It's
Nobody's paying me.
like obviously George Harrison.
George Harrison's awesome.
I listened to some Zeppelin, but wasn't a huge Zeppelin fan when I was younger, like first getting
Wrong.
into guitar. Some
opinion is
Floyd.
wrong.
I liked a lot of Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd. Did you just hear that?
No, he said a lot. He switched it.
Oh, he switched. Okay, we're gonna give him 2 points.
Yeah,
All
he's
right,
not-
whatever.
Josh is up to a 7 out of 10 now.
Okay, great. I didn't interrupt
Greta
you
Van
guys when you guys were going, so this is really
Greta
great.
Van Fleet
This is great to see.
Didn't deserve the Oscar.
Traveling Wilburys. Traveling Wilburys.
Oh, yeah.
You guys. Oh my God.
band. List the members.
Do you know who the Traveling Wilburys are?
No.
All right, so we got Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, Roy Orbison,
This is a band?
George Harrison, Jim Keltner on drums, and then who am I missing? Oh, I'm missing Jeff Lynne.
Jeff Lynne from
I'm
ELO.
guessing these people did not tour.
Oh, they did a couple,
I did a
They did?
couple
Back in the 90s, yeah.
This was a 90s thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Damn.
dude,
It's great. They had 2 albums.
they did.
That's interesting.
One with Roy, and then one after Roy
Yeah.
passed.
Yeah, that's interesting because
They called...
you hear a lot, like, sometimes you hear a lot of, like, big musicians get together and it's trash. Like, some of them just don't
Oh, not
mesh
these guys.
together.
No,
No,
they
not these
work.
guys.
Yeah.
My
I mean,
God.
I mean,
Did
it's
you
Tom
hear-
Petty
Oh.
and George Harrison and, like...
Bob
of course,
Dylan.
Yeah, of course
like,
they're going to blend.
It's
They're
the most talented band ever. Like
It's
you-
the
you
biggest
can't
super
beat it.
group ever. Yeah, no one.
You have a Beatle.
a shame.
You got a Beatle and Dylan right there. You beat every
and
other
fucking
band.
George even said he's like, it's kind of interesting. I felt like I couldn't write songs like this in my old band. In my old band.
He's just
There's
like, I was
four-
in this band a couple years ago. You might have heard of them.
4 people in the world that get that title. 5,
Yeah,
I guess,
yeah.
with Pete Best.
George
but,
Martin.
Like, I couldn't write stuff like this in my old band.
Mm-hmm.
God. What the
Oh, I love End of the Line. End of the Line is a perfect song. You throw it on.
Yeah.
It kind of puts this. I love putting the music video on because it's so fun watching them all just sitting around, just strumming
Roy-
guitars and singing.
Roy's thing comes on. They put
Yeah.
the chairs there with him rocking in it with
Yeah.
his guitar. That was
That's
good.
so
That was
awesome.
it.
You know,
and
Roy
then like
Orbison.
it's
you know
funny.
what's hilarious about that? You say End of the Line, and I don't know that band, so I just think of Metallica's End of the Line.
And you're just like, oh, it's such a beautiful song. And you're like,
That is not that beautiful of a song. I would not classify.
you're like Battery's more beautiful than that song.
It is the intro. Though.
The intro.
intro,
Oh,
yeah.
intro's great. But
No, but then like later on, like I kind of resurfaced, like the Metallica resurfaced in my life, so I kind of started getting to that stuff a little more. Because I was in like harder rock stuff, but I like didn't really know a lot about metal. And then like the only 2 Metallica albums I had when I was young was the Black Album and Reloads. Like that was Metallica to me. So then I found this video of Fight Fire with Fire in Mexico City, and I was like, wait, these guys played that?
Yeah.
I was like,
You're like,
whoa!
these guys created a genre.
I was like, these guys created that song, and I was
Yeah.
because it was a thing about like Lars Ulrich like can't play double bass, and then it was a video of him playing that song live, and I was like, whoa, hold on, what's this song? First of all,
Yeah.
and then I started looking into a lot of, I found that, and then then I got into the big four, and I found Motorhead, and I found Judas Priest and Pantera and all that like sort of stuff, Black Sabbath. I got really into Priest for a little
Took
bit
you
there.
that long to get into Black Sabbath?
Well, I didn't. I mean, I've
I
always
had to find Metallica to find Black Sabbath.
I've always appreciated Black Sabbath, but I never really like sat down and like listened
they're
to some
so
of their
good.
stuff, And then I started doing that, and I was like, man, yeah, these guys are great. Because my buddy in college, Ryan, he loves Black Sabbath, like his favorite band. So I was like, I probably should listen to these guys more, like actually like sit down and give them a good hard listen. And I started doing that, and it was good.
Yeah.
Wolfgang also approves of this because Wolfgang loves the Sabbath. He has a Sabbath sticker on his car, and he told me the other day, he's like, I'm pretty sure I got pulled over because I have a Black Sabbath thing.
Cops just like, you like them too?
He's like, yeah, I just wanted to talk about Sabbath. And your registrations.
I saw Sabbath. That was
you really?
A cool concert.
Wow.
I saw him too in New Jersey here a couple of years ago.
Same.
On the fair. Oh, you were there?
Yeah. Oh, dude, was that the same concert? 2013? I have a shirt for it.
I forgot
Final tour or whatever.
No way, dude. We were at the same show.
I totally forgot like earlier bands and stuff. I was also big into Rush,
Oh, yeah.
I never liked
Rush and Asia,
Could
and
never
yes.
get over the
Okay.
singing.
Asia was a thing with me for like when I was 16 because I heard like Heat of the Moment, Only Time Will Tell. I heard that album.
Steve
and it's really
Howe,
good.
man.
Oh yeah.
Steve Howe.
Well,
What about Yes Ka?
Yes.
About what?
You don't know that?
No, I
No.
love
What
Yes.
the fuck are you talking about?
In the movie Cheech and Chong, they have this one tune. It's like ding 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 ding. I always thought it was a great tune, but it's from Yeska. I always thought it was Tommy Chong that wrote that because he plays guitar, does his own stuff. Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, that's just great, Kevin. What's on your list there then?
Okay, then I
What's
kind of
your
like
next thing?
like with high school and stuff. Like, where did you guys like go into like when you started like when you left like your early influences and like the next wave hit?
I explained.
what-
Do you have a bathroom?
It's the first thing there on the left side, yeah.
Did you kind of went into that too, didn't
Bye,
you?
Kevin. Yeah, I mean, I kind of did because my next step, I guess, was rediscovering Metallica,
Yeah.
which led me into all that other stuff, because then I found Motorhead and I found Judas Priest, I found Pantera at some point. Oh, I also liked it really bad. I liked the Dropkick Murphys. I had a thing for the Dropkick Murphys there for a little while. Yeah. But yeah, no, and then it just kind of went from there because then I later found Alice in Chains, and I was like, why have I not known this band for so long? I was a big album I listened to a lot when I got into that sort of stuff was And Justice for All, which is why I think I have such a partialness to it, and why I struggle to tell you what I like more, Justice or Master of Puppets. Like I've had this mental battle a lot because I would just listen to the work and just the structure of everything on like Shortest Straw and just just every song on that album I was just like, man, this stuff is really different. And I was thinking to myself, man, at some point I was like, how the hell have I like known only the Black Album and Reload, and like I had no idea
And Reload.
of all this
Are
other
you
stuff.
serious?
Yeah, I love those albums, man. When I was a kid, those were like those were the best thing ever because I'd never heard anything like that before.
There's good
and I was
stuff
like,
on Load
wow.
and Reload, and I'm willing to admit that.
Insane. I love those albums. We did have when I was a kid. We did have Symphony Metallica with the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra. That was a big album.
S&M,
Yeah, I love that album. To this day, I love that album.
That is a really good one.
Yeah. What was your transition thing, Kevin? Like, where was your? Did you have like what do you call it? For like a transitional period or like a band that made you? Kind of, it was kind of Pantera-ish, right? And like Metallica.
For me, I matured, so like mine kind of like
I matured, so I started liking real
better music. Like no offense to those bands, but like
Well, he's right about that. You do kind of mature at some point. You
Yeah.
have to, because for me, I was.
I listened to Megadeth when I was younger, and then I grew up and I listened to Anthrax.
Well,
what? Who would ever become an Anthrax fan?
all throughout middle school, elementary school, stuff like that, I was all like 70s, 60s are the best music.
See, that's where I
best
went.
stuff.
I like
That's all there is.
and I still love that stuff.
And like I blocked out the
I really
80s
do.
because like everything I heard from the 80s was like funk and
Oh,
just all like weird stuff.
I like funk.
Weird,
I don't really know much about it though.
Rick James is the man.
Funk is the wrong term for it.
He means like that 80s like
Like you listen to a lot
like
of pop
Michael
stuff,
Jackson.
or-
Yeah, like
Michael Jackson.
yeah,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
like
So that was your
poppy stuff. I
Right,
never really
right.
liked pop music. So
yeah, no.
right.
so that's what I thought of the 80s and the 90s.
It's kind
as
of fake
more
stuff,
pop.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, but then it's funny because you have the 80s and then you have like all the really good stuff that's in there as well.
Yeah.
You know, like
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of amazing albums that were out that year, but then you also just have like,
Number of the Beast
lot
is
of bands.
82. Like that's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, so like the maturing thing would be an accurate statement because
Mm-hmm.
like it took me to start working at a place that put me in a different environment where they're just playing 80s metal and
Right,
stuff
right.
to actually get me to start listening to it. And then I was like, well, I guess it is 80s aren't all that bad. There's still this whole genre that
Right.
I'm missing out on.
Right,
and then
right.
so Metallica was the first band that I started to really get into, and because Death Magnetic just came out recently. to me.
2008.
Death Magnetic.
To me, starting to work, and I liked it at the time, but then I started listening to other older stuff, and the quality difference. there, you can tell.
I like Death Magnetic for the music on it. Obviously, as an audio engineer, I can't like the audio
'Cause they
quality
turned
of
it all the
'cause
way
it's
up.
awful. Oh, it's hyper compressed. That's the problem. It's just over compressed
Mm-hmm.
and just overproduced to shit. So,
Yeah.
but I liked the music on that album. Yeah, that was kind of. That was one of the last Metallica albums I like listened to and like gave it a chance, just because I didn't know it was there. Like I started. I started good. I started with like the first like 5 out. Like started with the earlier stuff. I found Saint Anger close to the end, and I found Death Magnetic close to the end, and I kind of found like Kill 'Em All. I guess was like in the middle somewhere, But like for like Metallica stuff specifically, but it was an interesting time period. What was your move? Your move on there, Fair.
So-
Can you pass me that Twix that's in there?
Oh, can you pass me that Twix?
So I switched from I kind of went from like that AC/DC, Metallica, Megadeth, Van Halen, GNR, George Lynch, like this high energy stuff, like
went
that's
from
all the
the
time.
80s back to the 70s.
And then I
He regressed.
I made like 3 moves to get to like where I am now. I went from that to like Pink Floyd, Zeppelin, and prog music, with stuff like also like the expert guys, and I count that as like Satriani, Vai, Malmsteen, Paul Gilbert, and then it's weird. Then I had like a grunge phase. Like I still like that stuff. Don't get me wrong, and I still even like the stuff like I started with. I mean, I'm not going to choose to listen to Surfing with the Alien over Zeppelin 4, but Surfing with the Alien's got some great guitar work on it. So, there's a lot of really great stuff here, and I kind of went into that prog and, pushing guitar limit stuff. And then I just, all of a sudden just dropped it back and went back to, David Bowie, Bob Dylan, Miles Davis, Van Morrison, Beethoven. I mean,
You dropped it back to the more...
I listen to Beethoven at
almost said simpler,
least a
but it's
couple
not.
times a week. Anytime I have to really work on stuff, it goes right to Beethoven, and it's so perfect. So it's like I totally regressed. But then I also started introducing other stuff. Like I started listening to Vangelis, who did the Blade Runner soundtrack, and a lot of other great stuff. Radiohead, Cliff Martinez, who did the soundtrack for Drive, and a lot of other Nick Vinding Refn, who did Drive and a bunch of other movies I like Only God Forgives, Neon Demon, and some stuff. Also, Johnny Greenwood, which is kind of cheating because he's from Radiohead, but he's been doing a lot of great soundtrack stuff. Ennio Morricone did The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Hard to beat that soundtrack. It's one of the best all time.
Yeah.
And I have an original, so that's awesome.
spaghetti western type style.
Yeah.
Stuff,
I also forgot, when I kind of started, making this change over to Bowie, Dylan, and stuff, I also Grateful Dead. I had already been listening to them, but I ramped it up. Beatles, the same thing. I already listened to them, but it was, from casual listen to, whoa, these guys are amazing.
Yeah.
And, the Rolling Stones, the Doors,
Yeah.
all the classic stuff. And even Elvis, I listen to folk music. I like old country music. synth stuff. I mean, I try to listen to everything, horror movie soundtracks. Like, I just like open the door to everything, and I think it's cool to do that.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's how I've been more recently.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, after I breached into the 80s and stuff, and then the 90s, and then still 2000s are not that great. I mean,
yeah,
there's
2000s are terrible.
there's some here and there, but, like, it's
oh, yeah. I mean, I like Radiohead
far in
stuff.
between. Yeah, but, like, I'd say in college, I mean, I always liked classical music, but then I took music appreciation, and, like, just the classical section in there was, like, my favorite, and I just, like, went fully into that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like classical music's amazing, and that I think that opened me up to more like other styles like bluegrass and stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
like the stuff that Zeppelin was really
Oh, yeah.
rooted into, and made me think about that more. But yeah, Beethoven stuff like that is like so shit.
Oh, yeah.
People make fun of me for listening to it. I like
get
listening
that
to
too,
it.
and
Why?
it's like
Beethoven.
I
It's
know.
awesome.
I'm like,
Exactly.
these
Come
people are
on,
listening
man.
to Lil' Kim and they're being judgmental. It's
Yeah,
like,
What's Little Kim?
Yeah, they're listening
Oh.
to their country pop
if you
music. Like,
for a trait, look up Lil' Kim later and look up Florida Georgia Line and all the other fakeries they have on the
this
radio.
makes me think of like a small King
Oh.
Jong Un just being like, "Yo, I'm a rapper."
I'm a country.
All right.
But I'm rapping about a song, got things, and the beat's all like this.
He's like, "Malnutrition, it's not funny."
Every
Woof.
song is exactly the same
right.
beat to exactly the same key. It's all the key of C. It's Ionian, man. They never leave. It never changes C Ionian. You don't ever even have to play a black key on a piano, and you can play along with every single modern country song.
Sad
Or they go in
but
F. They play in F a lot because they'll put the capo on one, and they'll just do it all over one, and it's just like, it's the same thing.
Well, technically, you could do that anywhere on the fretboard, and it would work.
Yeah, but like this case, like I'm insulting them, so it's good.
I mean, it's still
Because I'm
songs that
right,
do
and
that,
you're
because you
wrong.
can just play the same thing and just move it in different places, and then it's a different song, right?
Get wrecked, fair.
Turn it from country into
Wrecked.
Toto by Africa.
Oh God, please.
I've just evolved.
I'm gonna play.
Stop.
I'm gonna play a Led Zeppelin song in a different key. It'll be a different song.
Hashtag Greta Van Fleet is original. Yo, they beat Alice in Chains for best rock album this year, and I'm like, bruh.
I'm just glad
it's not
that-
bad.
I'm just
Like,
glad that something good got it. Like
It's a rap group won it last year, and it's like, what? It's like,
Rock?
yeah, they won the best rock album because they're like, rap's the new rock and roll, and I heard
No,
that,
it's not.
and I shot milk out my nose. I'm like, that's the dumbest fucking thing I ever read.
Yeah, no, Kanye West has been saying that forever. He's like, rap's the new rock and roll, and everyone's like, nah. No, it ain't.
That's absolutely terrible.
I respect Kanye West, but he's an asshole.
I mean, he's famous for a reason, but like I don't listen.
Yo,
to
let me
his music.
interrupt you because Beyonce should have won.
Oprah Winfrey's the best singer I've ever heard.
Oprah Winfrey would dominate the NBA at center, right?
Stop.
Queen Latifah.
Fair, what's next?
Um,
What's on your list? Your list.
how about who's somebody that you respect but you know you'll never be able to play their stuff? I think Beethoven's a perfect example.
God, everybody. Jesus Christ.
Like, but I mean, like Beethoven, you hear it, it's
what
like
do you-
I'll never be able to do that.
What do you mean by that?
like someone whose guitar level like you listen to, but you'll know you'll never be that good to play.
Like be able to play like them or play their song? Because like I could learn a song. Like,
And play it like you'd be able to
Yeah.
do it your way.
Yeah.
like something like
Jeez.
just something
like
that
you
you
could
know.
do note for note, and then like it's the same thing, but like
It's like one thing. God, there's like so many.
When I was young, it was always Cliffs of Dover because when I played that on Guitar Hero, I'm like, holy crap, this song's incredible. And Eric Johnson's not human because if you see how he plays that, there's a part where he's just casually chicken picking two different arpeggios at the same time. If you can do that, you are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I struggle. Well, I don't struggle. I can do one really good, but I'd struggle to do two because it would never sound right because that's incredible.
I don't know. I have to say anything that Steve Howe plays. Because
Yeah.
like Steve Howe, if you listen to like the song Wildest Dreams, like you can say about the song whatever you want. That guitar solo is
Oh, yeah.
impossible.
Yeah.
You're not gonna play that. You know,
I'd have to.
there's
do
no way.
research for this.
You're not
question.
gonna. You're not gonna.
No,
play
it's
that
so
song.
hard
It
because
is
you'd have
kinda
to actually
hard, yeah.
try them
Yeah.
because you'd be like, I can get close.
So like, yeah, for me, I'm gonna take that question a little differently because like, yeah, I could learn a song and like play it the way that they play it, but it's just like playing the song and playing it like they play. Like you said, kind of like doing it in your own way.
Yeah.
It's still really that I feel like that's harder to do because you could do it in your own way, but to make it sound good in the thing that you're doing, you still have
Yeah.
to play like them.
Yeah.
So like I would say for me, it's also my favorite guitar player, Randy Rhoads. I would never be able to do
Crazy Train.
that. I would never be able to play something like that, but I could learn Crazy Train. I have learned Crazy
Yeah.
Train. But
There's-
like
Yeah.
being able to come up with that genuinely, hell no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
I'm gonna upgrade mine. Like Cliffs of Dover was mine, and it was because of all the technical stuff. I still think it's a beautiful song. You listen to that, it's so incredible what he's doing. I'm gonna change mine. I know this might sound dumb. Comfortably Numb from Pink Floyd, because playing it, writing something that good, and making a solo that good naturally, you're not gonna just come up with.
I would add Shine on You Crazy Diamond or something like that too.
Oh man.
That's why I'm just
So
going with
good.
Dave Gilmour as my pick. I'd say,
Yeah.
like, if you need an answer, it's Comfortably Numb, but just all of Dave Gilmour's stuff, it's just so incredible.
So that's kind of your answer to what I was saying. What about your answer to what I was saying? Like the style, like not like
Style.
necessarily not being able to play what they can play, but like like not being able to
Work it into that
Yeah.
style. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god. Maybe like I kind of felt this way a lot about like Iron Maiden stuff.
Yeah.
Like those
Yeah.
solos. It's like it's such
Yeah.
a cool thing, but like
It's so
my
them.
god, it is really
Yeah.
so them. And I'm just like sometimes you listen to that stuff and you're like, God damn it, I
Like
never
how
thought
do they
of that.
how do they fit?
I never
that-
thought of
I
that.
would
you
never
know?
be able
It's
to
like,
write it.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm never gonna write. I'm never even gonna be able to fucking play the solo of like Run to the Hills. Like, let alone write
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Hallowed be thy name. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a big goal, but that's just that's gonna be something. What else? What else? What else you got?
I mean, that was a good one. I'm glad that I'm
Yeah, I'm glad
we
that's-
talked
I'm
because
glad
that
you
was a
brought
good
that
one.
one up,
Okay. I just said write down a soundtrack work. I know I do a lot of soundtrack stuff, and I listen to a lot of it. Not that you have to know a specific player who played on a soundtrack of something that's kind of oddly specific, but like, is there any like soundtrack song or albums you think of? If I go like soundtrack, is there anything that like hits you like, whoa, that's amazing?
So the first thing that I think of when you say that is just because I know this fact that Jimmy Page did the soundtrack
Wish
for
2?
and Lucifer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did too.
I love Death Wish 2 just
them.
because of Jimmy
That's
Page's
what
soundtrack.
I watched that movie just to listen to the soundtrack.
It's actually pretty good though. I
Yeah.
like Charles Bronson. He's such a badass. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
But that's a hard question. I'd have to think about that one for a minute.
Vangelis Blade Runner. That's hard to top.
That one, yeah.
I
is
have that on a
amazing.
picture disc, and it's part of my backdrop, and I love that soundtrack so much. I love that movie so much. Like, that's why it's such a hard question, because it's one of those where it's like I have an idea of one that's like my premier one, but like there's so many ones. I mean, hell, even from last year, Tom York did an amazing soundtrack for Suspiria. The soundtrack for Annihilation was great, and even had Crosby, Stills, and Nash in it. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much good soundtrack stuff that gets done. Like, you could say, I had people tell me their favorites like Wizard of Oz. I cannot disagree with that, because Wizard of Oz is just so good.
Yeah.
Like this, anything done by like John Williams.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
E.T.
Yeah.
is great. Star
Indiana
Wars,
Jones, Star
Indiana
Wars.
Jones, like
I'm thinking like I don't
Jaws?
Know, I don't know who did it, but
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Lord of the Rings has a good soundtrack.
oh, I know who it is. It's like New Zealand
yeah.
style stuff, and Lord of the Rings is really
It's amazing
soundtrack.
Yeah.
Batman Begins, Hans Zimmer,
Yeah.
hell of a guy. Although for a period there, every single trailer had the horn in it. Whoa. And it was because he did it with Inception, and everybody's like, oh, now we got to do it. Whoa.
I would probably put my favorite for now, just without research, at Lord of the Rings, because it like
Okay, yeah.
every time you hear it puts you into that like
I know.
that realm.
It's kind of mythical
Yeah.
and this Nice, epic little fantasy.
Yeah, and even if you hear something that sounds sort of like it, you're like, that sounds like Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
It puts you in that that mood, that light feeling type thing, and even the heavier tones, like with the wars.
Yeah.
It really hits you.
Those Lord of the Rings movies are fantastic.
Yeah.
And see, I had great parents, and by that I mean they let me watch the Lord of the Rings as an 8, 9, and 10-year-old kid, which was probably a mistake.
I went to the movies and saw
Yeah,
it.
I saw them in the theaters.
yeah.
I saw I definitely saw Two Towers and Return of the King, but I think we caught Fellowship on DVD.
Yeah.
And my parents were like, it should be okay. And then there's like scenes where like orcs are getting beheaded and stuff.
I remember going into to Lord of the Rings late, and I missed like the beginning scene, so I didn't see like the Smeagol thing, like that like add-in scene where.
Yeah, so when Gollum shows up later, you're like, holy shit.
Well, I just
And
thought it
Two
was a
Towers-
normal story because they didn't show that like prequel thing,
Yeah.
but that was interesting.
That's kind of cool. I've never thought about watching Lord of the Rings without the exposition dump at the
ex-
beginning.
yeah. Yeah, if you watch the non-extended edition, it's really interesting. There's a lot more scenes in the extended edition that really make it so much better. So,
I do love the extended editions. My friend, actually, why am I saying my friend? Wolfgang said the other weekend he got together with people and they watched all the extended editions. I'm like, wow, you sat down for 12 hours and enjoyed it. The first two of the extended editions are like 3.5 hours, and then there's a 4-hour for the Return of the King. But like the last 20 minutes is just credits.
yeah,
because they put
and
everybody in the
everyone-
fan club.
literally 20 minutes for.
But the Lord of the Rings movies, great soundtracks.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'd say Blade Runner. Another big time one if I want to do something a little, not going to say obscure, but, well, maybe that's a little too specific. John Carpenter's Halloween soundtrack is very iconic.
No, yeah,
And as soon as you hear,
yeah, you always think of that.
I mean,
yeah,
like you hear it, it's so iconic. It gets you right into that like whoa kind of feeling.
and everybody knows that. So
Yeah. And Halloween is the best slasher film ever made. I just said it. I had somebody tell me Friday the 13th Part 2 was better than Halloween, and I'm just like,
people have their own opinions.
Some
like-
people are wrong.
Yeah, some
yeah.
people
So,
are wrong.
well, he also said Schindler's List was a bad movie because it made him feel sad.
Wow. Wow.
It's like,
It's bad because it made me feel something.
he's like, I watched Shawshank and it made me feel bad. He had to go to prison and he didn't even do it. Like, what the?
yeah.
Feel sad. So then he hates the end of Green Mile. The end of Green Mile is
Oh
like
my
the
God.
worst thing ever.
That'll
Yeah.
rip your heart right out.
Oh,
And just like,
Jesus.
that's such a great movie too. That's an amazing double feature, but bring the tissue. Every time, I don't want to ruin any. I can't ruin those movies. They're just too amazing. But like
He's gonna ruin
soundtracks,
them all.
Shawshank has a great soundtrack. It's really
Yeah.
subtle, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
and Steven
fair.
Spielberg always makes sure he gets good ones. But when you're working with John Williams, you're gonna
yeah.
like Saving Private Ryan.
I was gonna say Jurassic Park.
Jurassic
Yeah.
Park.
Okay.
That's so iconic. That
I always loved that. Yeah, but you didn't.
No, I mean
put one
I
in
don't.
there.
I don't really sit down and listen to a
let you
lot of
sit there and
soundtracks and
think
stuff,
about
but
it.
like I have a lot of appreciation for a lot of these.
Well, what was a
soundtracks, like you're
movie
all taught.
that you were watching and you just like, man, there's some good music in this. Like I've gone like I've watched
Batman.
Jurassic Park so many times that I just went to to fast forward to the end just to listen to the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's got to be like
There was
something.
that porno Lemmy was in. He did a song
Oh,
What song did he do for that? Do you know?
I don't know. I think like it was like a new Motorhead song. They were debuting it in the
Oh,
porno.
wow.
The 90s were a weird decade. we
The
already-
90s were weird back then. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I don't. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things you could say. Like, I love all the soundtracks. Anything John Williams does. I mean, really, like he's perfect.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like this. I
What
don't
about
need to.
Danny Elfman.
Okay, like it's not. He's not that bad. Come
No,
on now.
No, Danny Elfman
Everyone
has
craps on him,
He
but
has
yeah,
13
name all
nominations and no wins.
That
Meanwhile,
sucks.
John Williams has like 14 wins.
yeah, but like
And, like,
sucks.
it's 800
John
now.
It's John Williams. Like,
Yeah. To be fair, he deserves every bit of it.
Yeah.
What's next on your list there?
Um,
Fairy.
He just called you a fairy. What are you gonna do about it?
You know, when I first told one of my ex-girlfriends about you, they were like, Fair. Like, what kind of name is that? That's a really sissy name for a guy.
It's like, clearly it's not my first name.
It describes the color of my skin.
True.
They don't. Well, why is.
Anyway, what's next?
What's who's a guy or like a genre you respect now that you never thought you were going to when like you first started playing?
Metal.
Metal, really?
Metal.
And
God, yeah.
Is there anybody specific that you're like, oh, that guy sucks? And I guess that's kind of a second question. Is there anybody you respect now that you didn't respect then?
I'd give you a long answer for that.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, like, I like definitely metal. I used to not like metal because I was like, it's all just fucking.
I had a couple periods
But
like that, yeah.
I wouldn't put that as my main one because I listened to Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and stuff.
It's
so,
so-
like,
it's-
it was like leading up to it no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, so I would say like older, like country, bluegrass, stuff like that. I would never thought that I would have liked stuff like that, but like there's, if you think about it technically, it's really, really good.
Oh, yeah. No, that's great. That's a great answer. Now, Josh, you kind of said you couldn't come up with a...
Well, thing is, like, I don't, like, here's the thing is, when I was dating my first girlfriend for a while, you know, you and I even talked about this last night, is, like, she loved all this metal stuff, and, like, so, like, it was halfway, like, almost out of, like, spite, because she, like, she was a negative, like, thought in my mind, so it was kind of like this thing with that, but, it was also just like she showed me the wrong kind of metal, the Black Veil Brides, the like heavy Slipknot, the core screamo stuff. Like that was like what I thought metal was, and I was like, "Yo, this is bad. Like this is a bad genre." But then I found the Metallica, the Iron Maiden, the Sabbath, the Motorhead. Like I found that stuff, and I was like,
Priest.
"Oh, metal can be good."
Yeah, I
you know.
I can
So like
actually...
I found that, and I was like, "Yo," and then. Yeah, I mean, at first, when I first heard Slayer, I didn't really know how to feel about him because I was kind of like, this is a little kind of strange. But I like them now. But like some of their stuff, like a lot of the stuff of like Divine Intervention, like Christ Delusional stuff, I don't like that stuff. But like the old stuff, Seasons in the Abyss, like I like those.
That's the
I like
song
that
that
kind of
changed. That's the song that changed me about how I felt about Slayer.
Really?
I heard that song and I'm like, wow, this is actually intricate, detailed, and actually has a good solo. Like, I'm like, I didn't think this was possible for a Slayer.
Yeah,
Because it
listening-
wasn't just Kerry King
Like,
doing it.
Yeah.
You can listen to metal and like you can get really turned off of it if you learn to listen to the wrong stuff. Like the other
You know.
day, I was showing him Lamb of God songs,
And he showed me like the.
and like he's saying that he didn't like Lamb of God because they're mostly like it's hard to get through.
Well, because the stuff.
It's hard to
I
get to the
played-
point where you can listen to the lyrics.
I'm not a big Lamb of God fan either.
I get
to
that,
be
but
perfectly honest with you.
here's why I was saying that. Like, there's certain songs that you can listen to where you can really appreciate the music instead of like you can like kind of ignore the singing for right then,
right.
and you can really appreciate like the guitar, the drums, and all that. Like it was really, it's really well composed a lot of the time, and after a while of listening to it, you do start to like gain appreciation for the singing style of it because he is a very good screamer. Even if you don't like screaming, he's like one of the best screamers out there, like today.
yeah.
So, like, there was a few songs that I showed him that were, I feel like he liked more than I guess other songs that he's listened to that were heavier. So, like, a heavy song can really turn somebody off to something, but like if you just show like the lighter aspects of like that thing, it can open you to a whole different genre of music.
Yeah.
Now I actually have a little bit of respect for Lamb of God.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go with that because I feel like I kind of always respected metal, at least for like the most part. Like, because my dad had me listen to like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest and stuff, and I heard all that kind of thing. So like, I was never in an environment where I hadn't heard it. I think the stuff for me was like that I never thought I was going to be jamming out to when I first started guitar is like the out there experimental jazz fusion Miles Davis 70s stuff, like Bitches Brew is incredible,
Yeah.
but you have to go in knowing it's not like what you think it's gonna be. It's not elevator music, because Bitches Brew is fucking insane. It could be a horror movie soundtrack. Like,
Every time you think of that, you say that, I think of Strange Brew. Cream.
yeah, well, it's not definitely not bad, but I'm not gonna.
A little different.
Well, on that album, he had Herbie Hancock was on keyboard, and he had just an incredible group of guys. And Miles Davis is a guy who's like, let's just stop the song, and I'm gonna do some weird delay trumpet thing, and it's fucking crazy. And then everybody goes like, bah! And then just starts picking up. It's like, boom, 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 and then this like the trumpet of Miles Davis just goes. And it's just like screeching, like they distorted the audio of a trumpet, and they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff with it. And it's like, this is one of the best things I've ever heard in my life. But I had never thought I was going to get into it. And in the complete opposite thing, I had like everybody tell me Kurt Cobain was like the worst guitar player ever, and everybody hates him, and this, that, and the other thing. And then I actually like gave him a shot when I was in my teens, and I'm like, oh shit, it's really original. It was actually really good stuff. I mean, yeah, he basically just took a Punk 45, set it to 33, slowed it down, but I really respect what he did, because it's just this heavy, mean, attacking style that, it allowed bands like Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden to hit the mainstream when like all these really bad pussy ballad stuff were on the radio, like More Than Words.
Yeah, when glam was really starting to.
No offense,
Yeah.
Extreme, but don't need that steady diet of More Than Words.
I mean, like, there's some bands where you just have to like respect them no matter what. Like, I don't really like Nirvana all that much, but like
really
What they
changed.
did,
Yeah,
like-
they changed a
Yeah.
lot. Like, even like pop music, I hate pop music, but
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
Michael Jackson,
Jackson.
you have to respect.
Yeah.
Like, he did some stuff there. Like,
Yeah,
Oh,
he
yeah.
did. Yeah, that's
He-
true. That's
yeah.
fair. I still don't listen to him, and I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I
he's
won't.
not.
I
He's
wouldn't.
not on my.
Michael or
I would
Yeah,
turn-
Michael Jackson.
I
He's
would
not
change
my.
the radio station if he came on.
Yeah.
Hey, Beat
not-
It's pretty
not my
good. It's
thing.
got Eddie Van Halen soloing
He's
on it.
talking
It's
about
really mean.
beating it the whole time.
Just beat it.
That's
The
what I-
Neverland Ranch. Oh,
weird
and
dude.
it goes. There's a documentary about that just came
know, I
out. It was
saw
something
that,
about
yeah.
Neverland or whatever, and it's
Yeah.
about like what happened. And supposedly, like some new stuff comes out.
Yeah,
in
it
the
was like
documentary.
you can't ignore the fact that some stuff happened there.
And it's like, oh shit.
What's next, Fair? What else? What else you got?
Push it forward.
Push it forward. Favorite genre, favorite band, favorite song. All three of those could be different, though.
Yeah, that's true. Be interesting if your genre and band were different.
That would be really. See, that's really tough because for me, genre, I listen to everything.
Like, I love metal, but my favorite composer is Beethoven. That could work, though.
I mean, it does work.
that could totally
I mean,
work.
I feel like for me, my favorite genre is classic rock because I feel it's such an easy answer, though, because it's so blanket.
That's the same for me.
Because
though.
I have everything from Van Morrison, Bob Dylan, and all that to like Led Zeppelin. Like even Black Sabbath's classic rock. Like I'm kind of cheating here because I have so much to pick from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite band's Pink Floyd. I really love every one of their albums. I think what they did is incredible, and they just kept redefining themselves, which is almost impossible to do as a musician. And my favorite songs probably... It's so hard because I could go Shine On You Crazy Diamond. I could go Time. I could go Comfortably Numb. But right now, I'm feeling Echoes. I think
Yeah.
that's incredible.
That's one of my favorites.
I
from
mean,
Pink Floyd, yeah.
I could, when I put side 2 of Metal on my record player, drop the needle, and that starts. I mean, there's some lyrics in that are freaking insane. Like,
yeah.
by chance two strangers meet, I look to him, and what I see is me. It's like, what? That's great. But yeah. So those are my answers.
Yeah.
So it's what is it again? It's favorite genre.
Genre, band, and song.
God damn it! Oh my god!
Russian roulette right here. Let's see if you do it, John.
See, because oh god, there's so many. You know what I mean? Like, there's so. Oh my god. Because like some days I tell you that I like rock and roll because like that centers around like
so what you're saying
so
is you're
much.
bipolar with music.
Yes. No, I am.
And then Andre
No, 'cause,
Segovia
like-
on a Tuesday.
You know, but like rock and roll, I feel like rock just as itself kind of centers a lot of things that I
It's
like
so much.
around it. You know, like that has a lot involved, and it's like I can say rock favorite band, right? It's got to be Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers just because they started everything. You know, for me, like that. That's my ultimate band.
Oh, it's
if
so good,
not,
though.
if not them. If Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers had never like if they weren't my favorite, I might say Motorhead.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that like
Nice.
they're a close second.
Ding, ding,
And then
ding,
favorite song from the song that made me want to try and understand how music worked.
In the
is-
desert on a horse with no name.
What?
Song?
By America.
Is that who it is? In
Yeah.
the desert
on a
on
horse with no name.
Tom Petty played it when I saw him.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's by-
That's not at
everybody-
all the song I was gonna say.
Everybody thinks it's Neil Young, but it was
I always
actually
thought it was
America.
Tom Petty, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And song.
Learning to Fly.
Oh, that's a great song.
That's like that something about that song made me want to understand how music works. And I just know it's just like, oh my god, like how do they know like everything going on, all these little nuances that like that rock and roll music can have, and like where like the like golden age of like music itself had it without just this boring flat lifeless
Yeah.
crap, where it had all these little nuances. I was just
Yeah.
like, yo, I need to understand this, you know. So that's kind of where I am with that.
It's such a good song that my brother got mad the one time that the XM radio put on the acoustic version of it because he's like, no, I want to hear that song. And it's because of all those nuances, how detailed it is. Like people notice that
The
stuff.
acoustic version's good though.
Oh, it
like,
is.
Like he does a great job with it. No matter, he's Tom Petty
Tom Petty
does a
was
great job.
great. Tom Petty's
all the
great.
time.
yeah, well,
We're gonna give him a gold star. There you go, Tom. You got the
Gold
guys
star.
talking about stuff for
Yeah,
approval.
right. Yeah.
He's on the Hall of Fame. We'll put it
There you
on
go.
this episode. I came up with that idea a
gonna
while
start a
ago
Hall of
where we
Fame
were gonna
now.
have a Hall of Fame and have
Yeah.
things. Tom Petty's the first inductee into the guys talking about stuff Hall of Fame. I feel like that's a
that's gonna be a write up. That's
That's-
gonna be an interesting
that's
write
good,
up. There.
yeah.
He'll be here. He'll be back. He'll be back
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
conversations
Yeah.
for
Oh,
quite a
yeah.
bit. What about you, Kevin?
Well, for me, it would definitely be classic rock
All right.
and Led Zeppelin, for sure.
Okay.
nice.
All right.
And then for favorite song, I would probably either go Kashmir, because that's
Ooh.
initially my favorite song that I usually go to for my favorite song, or Achilles' Last Stand.
Oh,
Okay. All right.
Because that song, the
It's
whole
so
song is
good.
amazing. You
I
can
can
listen to
handle
the
that.
whole fucking thing. And
I can
it's so
handle that.
amazing the whole time.
It's 10 minutes of energy.
I know.
How is that even possible? Like Iron Maiden, like their long songs that we think of aren't
Watch
even
it.
that long.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Except like a Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner lives like
gonna say-
58 minutes.
I was gonna say, yeah. Have you heard
It's
of Rhyme?
Their live version's 35. Apparently there is like a 35-minute version from one of their shows back in the day, but apparently it's because like Bruce got like hit in the head with something, so he's backstage getting stitched up, so they just jammed on it for like 25 minutes, then he came out and did the song.
Well, if you listen to like Led Zeppelin lives, there's like 20 minutes versions of Whole
Dazed
Lotta
and
Love.
Confused, there's
Dazed
like a
and Confused.
30-minute version.
Oh,
I think
God.
the longest
Yeah.
version of that I think I
How the
heard
West
of,
Was
it
Won?
was around 50 minutes.
What?
They played.
Yo!
They played.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
Christ.
Dazed and Confused for 50 minutes.
Yo.
I mean, they definitely added some songs.
How do your
in the
fingers
song,
not
but,
bleed
like,
during that? My God. Like, it doesn't matter
Oh,
what
they
level
were.
you're
Because
at.
it's
that just,
Jimmy Page.
Oh.
like
John Paul Jones is like
He's like,
playing
I'm
down
so.
in the
He's like, I'm
bone.
so drunk and high, I can't even feel it.
he's like, my fingers are straight callous. I don't have. Like, there's no blood up there anymore.
My hands are
What?
cold.
What's your next, Fair?
No, that's great. Let's see.
Gotta calm himself down real quick.
Consult the chart.
Consult the chart. Band that you like now that you used to not like.
Jeez, hang on.
Or you could do artists too, like
My quickest one would be Lamb of God.
yeah, you used to not like them, and then you're like,
And I've seen them 9 times live.
no, okay, so you clearly changed that around.
Oh God. Oh, I had to think about this.
Because there's times where you listen to something, the first time it just doesn't click, and you're like, oh, that's bad. And then it's like, wait a minute, holy shit.
There's a lot of music like that.
Yeah.
that I've listened to.
I think the biggest one for me was I had basically everybody always shit on Bob Dylan to me. And then I actually like listened to Bob Dylan and I'm like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
I'm like, this man, I mean, has some of the best stuff ever in his library. It's hard to be. It's like you look at covers from Bob Dylan. I don't know, songs like "All Along the Watchtower," which is one of the best songs.
Is that like you heard of him, but you didn't listen to his music, and you thought you weren't
Yeah,
gonna
see,
like
it's
him?
kind of different. Yeah,
Because
I
I'm
was
trying because
See,
that would be like you heard him and you didn't
that-
like it at first, and then like after a while you started to appreciate.
Yeah, I know
See,
mine's
yeah, it
different.
depends on
I
which one
never
you go
actually
to.
gave him a chance, and I never
Yeah.
listened to it. I guess the first, if I was going to flip that back to where I originally had this, I'd say probably Nirvana, because it was just this thing.
That's a good one.
I listened to them, and like the first time I was like, "Oh, he's just mad," and then I started really listening.
He's just mad.
As a teenager, you're an idiot, so you're just like, "Oh, this guy's just mad," and then like I actually listened, I'm like, "Holy shit!" Now this guy's getting at something that's like. Sometimes it's important to talk about the depressing shit because it gets it out of your system.
Right.
Because it's so easy to sit there and go, like, life's good. Oh my God, the house is on fire. The children have no legs, but everything's good. Jesus. You know, they just cut them off with like the hedge clippers. Everything's good. It's like things are not good right now, and it's okay to talk about that. You know,
Like a soft answer for that would be like a lot of bands, because there's like Van Halen, Rush. I don't like those bands generally, but there's like songs here and there where like over time I'll listen to them and be like, all right, that's a good song.
Yeah.
You can't like
See,
deny it. But
in the two eras that I didn't think that I would like Motorhead, but then I listened to them and I fucking loved them.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
didn't really at first. I was kind of turned away by Pantera,
okay.
but then
Yeah,
I
can
got
dig
into
that,
more and
yeah.
I was like, okay. You know, and then I because like I don't even remember what song I heard, but then I listened to all of Vulgar Display, and my first listen I was kind of like, I think I need a round two because I don't want to immediately just like crap on this band. Like I give it another round. I was like, okay, now I think I get it more. You know, now I like Vulgar Display and I like them as a whole. Yeah, now I have a greater respect for Phil Anselmo.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Oh, his range is insane.
'Cause he-
not anymore, but like his
No,
range
definitely not
was
anymore, but,
I
like,
remember.
insane.
Yeah, it was. I remember I had dissed on Pantera a couple times. I called him Discount Metallica, but it's because when it came to metal music,
Not even though.
I know Dimebag's so much better.
Oh my god.
Are you telling me?
Josh thought that was going somewhere else. I'm like,
Are you telling me Phil Anselmo and James Hetfield sound alike? Because you're wrong. Your
I
opinion is
mean,
wrong.
if you listen to Cowboys from Hell, like musically, it's not.
James Hetfield could not do that though. I'll tell you that much.
See, but now
It's
I
definitely
like.
not the
See,
same,
I like
yeah.
Pantera
Not do
more
that.
than Metallica now. So I'm like, I kind of made a switch there because every time I do weights, I'm like, I could listen to Metallica, but when I put on like
Pantera.
5 minutes alone, I could punch my head through a wall.
Yeah,
like,
that's the
just,
thing. Like even Bill Burr, he's like,
yeah.
yeah, if I get pissed off at something, I just go and go on my drum kit, play some Pantera.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like that just gets any rage you have out. Pantera, like
That just kind of did. That's in anything, but I mean, like, because then you have a song like "This Love," and it's like it starts off with like it's just
Sleep,
like,
stuff like that. Yeah,
I have the
Floods.
101,
Oh, yeah.
the 101
The
proof
Hollow,
live
that's one of my favorites.
version of "This Love" is insane.
Oh, yeah.
he's got this scream in there that's just nuts. Yeah.
I did a Pantera song live with my I guess my second band. I sang Cowboys from Hell.
That's ballsy.
It was, and Wolfgang was in that band, so you could even
God.
ask him about that. We played that, and it was because Wolfgang's like, let's do something metal, and I was like, how about Led Zeppelin Immigrant Song? And I was like, who's gonna sing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, really good
Well,
luck.
actually, that's what happened. We went through all these songs we wanted to do, and nobody could sing it. And then we were just kind of fucking around, and I'm like doing some metal screaming and stuff. And they're like, we might be able to do Cowboys from Hell, and I'm like,
The last
Just like,
the
I
last
gave it a
band I
shot.
was in, I wrote up some songs that we could do, and I was like, Cowboys from Hell sound good, and they're like, yeah. And then I learned the whole song in like not that like 2 days or something like that. I learned the whole thing, the solo and everything. I got it up to speed and all that. Got there, and I was like, all right. And I started playing it, and they're just like, Yeah, I don't think that really fits my vocal range. And I'm just like, the fuck?
And then they wanted to do punk music, right?
No, they wanted to do folk music.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the last one. The punk band was before that.
See, I could even say the same thing about punk music. I mean, in general, I never really got it.
Oh, I still don't like punk music.
I came around to
I'm
like
not
some of
a-
the
yeah,
older stuff.
no, me neither.
If you listen to the older stuff, it's basically heavy metal with distortion.
If we're
turned
talking
down.
Misfits, yes. If
Yeah.
we're talking
Oh,
Green Day,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, oh, well, that's what I mean. I'm
Like
talking
the
like
Misfits.
Misfits.
Yeah.
I'm talking Ramones.
Yeah.
I'm talking The Clash. I'm talking like those kind of bands. I'm not talking about.
If you're talking about punk with talent, not
Yeah,
like, not
like
like,
oh 90s.
like
I'm
this
not. No, fuck the
throwing
90s,
their voice
man.
into the mic and stuff.
Don't
like-
want to be a government is bad.
90s punk is terrible.
I
for
hate
the
my
most
hometown,
part.
but I
That's
love
what I'm
my
saying,
friends.
Like, 90s kind of
Like-
dropped off there.
Skater
2000s
punk is
just like whoa, brick
skater
wall.
punk. Bro, it's I called it bro punk for a while because like
is.
no
is.
sane human would ever choose to listen to Blink 182. Meanwhile, my dad has like 4 Blink 182 albums. Sorry, Dad. My dad does.
Your
listen to
dad
this,
also
so.
likes the Reading Royals.
That's amazing, actually.
Reading Royals are awesome. What are you talking- What?
That your dad has.
My dad owns like all the Green Day albums. Like my dad like had like
he likes that shit.
he hated grunge for whatever reason. So he's just like, guess I better choose the one that sounds like hair metal. So
I would have picked grunge.
well, he
over
went with
that.
pop.
Yeah,
he
really,
went with
I'd
pop
rather
punk
grunge.
because pop punk's
Christ.
basically hair metal without the hair. It's a bunch of bald
hair metal without the hair.
and without the solos.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
take out solo. So get rid of the talent
they got
and the
all-
hair.
So basically, they got old. And
Yeah.
they're
don't
like,
really-
what are
I
we
mean,
gonna do now?
I somewhat disagree with that because not all punk music is
Not all of it's talented.
it's
yeah, I
not
know.
all, well, not all punk music is kickstart my heart. Wait, did you compare grunge and
No. Pop punk and hair
oh,
metal.
pop punk and hair metal? Okay,
I
yeah.
do think that is kind of a through line though. Although I don't understand, like Pearl Jam should have been your go-to if you like classic rock.
I
Because
would
Pearl
say
Jam's so
hair
classic
metal
rock.
is definitely better.
Oh, hair metal's
than
definitely better than pop punk. Oh, not even close. I actually have a few hair bands where I'm like, oh, I'll listen to them.
I'll just not listen to either one. How about that? Let's just not listen to both.
Hey, Cinderella is the premiere.
Hey, this is kind of not really guitar-y, but like a lot of guitar players kind of think about this. If you had to pick one singer that you want to be able to sing like from a band, who's your guy? Who's your look up to singer? Mine's either Hetfield or Lane Staley.
See, that's a really hard one.
I could go Lane
Because I could go different, like a bunch of different singers, but when you initially say that, the first person that comes to mind would be like Eric Clapton.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Mine is definitely off your radar. Frank Sinatra, perfect voice.
Frank's all right.
How do you?
Okay.
I mean, he could sing with nothing else going on, and it sounds perfect.
That would just be interesting to hear over guitar, though.
Roy Orbison.
I mean, Roy Orbison's great.
I guess it could work. It's just like different style. Dude.
Bruce Dickinson
Yeah.
or Rob Halford.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tiny Tim.
all right. No jokes fair. We're not making.
I do like
No
Tiny
time for
Tim.
joke.
I actually do legitimately like Tiny Tim, although he died on stage.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
He had a heart attack at a concert, and it was
Was he tying?
He was talking with somebody before the show. Apparently, he was talking to somebody before the show, and they were talking about dinner, and he said, "Oh, we're not going to need that," and he died. Like, it's like, what did he know? Like, that's some crazy stuff.
What happened?
He just like went out there, started playing. 2 minutes in, had a heart attack, and died.
Okay.
Wow.
That's weird.
Yeah,
I mean, that happens. There's a bunch of
Yep.
different,
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
but
That'd be
No.
That'd be
Not
that'd
gonna
be a
go
way
with
to
Tiny Tim.
That'd be the way to go as a musician, though.
if I was gonna go rock and roll though, Paul McCartney, definitely not a bad
Alright.
choice because he could sing anything.
Yeah. Yeah. You go with a Beatle.
fair.
You can't really.
Yeah, you can't go wrong when you choose a Beatle. George Harrison.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
how about I'll take the collective Beatles. I'll do all of them. Ringo.
Ringo.
Yo, give me Octopus's Garden, bro. I want to be boom, 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 boom. I love that song though. George's lick at the beginning
not a
is
bad
amazing.
song. Not a bad song.
No, Octopus's Garden, the opening lick from George is actually harder than you think it is. It's so bouncy aroundy and moving. It's
Bouncy aroundy. I'm sure that's a
Bouncy
bouncy around. Like, I mean, like, it's not lots of hammer on pull offs and bending and slide. It's a lot going on, and it's kind of complex.
True.
Just like George Harrison's harder to play than people give him credit for. The Smiths
they
is a
just think
band.
it's chords and stuff like that. But
I think that's a good one to talk about. Like, what's a song you thought, like, oh, I'm just going to do this song, there's going to be no problems. And then you sit down and you're like, fuck.
You say
Holy
that, but
shit.
I started playing guitar learning Led Zeppelin. So
So,
I started hard. So nothing's nothing's a
I started with
surprise.
AC/DC. I'm like, A chord, G chord,
Yeah.
G chord. Here we go, baby.
Yeah.
God, I don't know. I think maybe that I start. It's like you sat down with it, and then you were like,
You just
"Oh, I'm
gave
gonna
up.
be able
You're
to do
like,
this."
"Fuck this."
That I gave up on.
Yeah.
I don't know if I gave up on a song really. Maybe. Oh no. Maybe.
There's
Probably
always
a
something.
classical song or something.
Hang on. No. I've learned all that.
I have.
No, I shouldn't say. Sudade number 3 was actually one that I didn't finish because it's hard.
I was gonna say, there's no way you finished like every song that like people wrote, but you go classical and it's like I learned them all.
Almost. Yeah. There was
One-
the one that I just didn't get. I could have finished it, but I just didn't. I just.
One that's sneaky hard. Stevie Ray Vaughan's Scuttle Button.
I
I sat down to that at
You know
17,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
looked at that, and I looked at the tab, and it's hopping around between 0, 1, 2, and 3 on the different strings up and down, and I'm like, he just changes the combination every time around, and you're not gonna play it.
Yeah, I did give up on that one.
You look at that
That's
tab, and you just, if you want to have a good laugh, go on to Ultimate Guitar, look up Scuttle Button by Stevie Ray Vaughan, and just laugh. Because that tab's just like, yeah, not gonna happen. I can do the it's like, not gonna do that.
Yeah, you can play the rhythm, nothing else.
Cliffs of Dover was another one.
My buddy's been learning Cliffs of Dover.
That's it. You have to break it down piece by piece, and there's
Yeah.
30 pieces in it. So you're just, because it's all instrumental and it's just all insanity. Like, even the easy stuff is hard.
Well, I mean, like I was learning Sado earlier,
Yeah.
like Randy Rhoads. Anything
Randy Rhoads is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because he was a
good luck with
classical
that.
guy,
Good luck
so
with that
he's
one.
gonna like. He's looking at all the notes like they're all available.
Exactly.
He's not looking for boxes.
Yeah.
He's not looking for pentatonic box. That's one thing. I love Tony Iommi to death, but I can learn every single Tony Iommi Sabbath song.
I'm
like,
pretty sure there's 2 Black Sabbath songs that have the same solo. Like I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I was
Probably on
listening
the
to
first album, too.
I don't know. I think there might be different album, but
Maybe.
maybe
But I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
there's a song there where they just have the same solo. I thought
War Pig's up, man. War Pig.
yeah. It took all the easy ones, man. Now we have to think of complex things to write.
I think a good one for like something that you'd look at and just say fuck it, like probably like Dream Theater or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You'd look at it and just be like,
Yeah.
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 Nah, I think I'd rather
Oh,
play
you
some
know-
GTA today.
You know, it's another one, Analog Kid by Rush.
Yeah,
The guitar solo.
Yeah.
Don't even try it.
Don't even.
Not even-
Alex Lifeson is sneaky good.
What's the song off of Hemispheres? The last one, Olivia
Olivia
Strangiato.
Strangiato, yeah, don't try that one.
What about like
Yeah,
the
Rush will get you
solo-
too.
The solo for Communication Breakdown.
I mean, at different points, yeah, it's
Yeah.
sneaky hard.
Yeah.
Um,
It's hard to like play exact. You
how
can't
about
play exact.
how about let's go the flip side? Something that you were like, oh my god, this is gonna be hard, but it's actually really easy. The Panama thing recently.
The intro to Panama. I thought you look at the tab and it just looks like it's
Yeah,
so
Van
active.
Halen tabs don't look good, but then you actually do it. It's like, okay, there's
you're
a
just like,
madness.
Oh,
is-
he's just holding this note basically
Yeah.
with the one, like the fifth fret just keeps banging on it. I play that way anyway. So,
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. The first thing I thought of that was Wilbury Twist by the Traveling Wilburys. Because George Harris looking at that, it's just the thing. That's all it is. But I was listening, and I was like, "What the fuck's he doing? How's he doing that?" I was like, "Oh my god, this is gonna take forever." And I looked at it, and I was like, "Wait, that's it?" And I played it, and I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, it's a hard question because I definitely have
Okay.
songs like that, but I can't think of them because I've learned them.
Mine has to be like 17 or 18. I sat down and I, don't laugh, Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. I thought it was much harder than it was. No, I probably would have been like 15, 16 because I heard that bing, banana, and bing, banana, and all that kind of stuff. I was like, what the hell is this? It's just like, oh no, that's an arpeggio, dude. Like, just calm down.
Oh wait, I know. YYZ by Rush.
It was really easy.
Yeah,
you know?
I didn't even. I just looked at the tab once and had it memorized instantly.
Yngwie Malmsteen, all of his songs, I just looked at the tab and no struggle at all. Just I just did that. No problem. It just came to me.
No problem.
Oh, how'd you think of that? It just came to me.
I had somebody tell me, they're like, oh, Yngwie Malmsteen's not that hard to play. And I'm like, oh, okay, guy. Let's see it. And then he did like the worst version of it ever. The part where it's like, it's the same thing Dimebag did it a lot, where you just did like a dominant or you do that shape.
See, I'll combat.
And you just play it right up on every string.
I'll combat that. You say Yngwie Malmsteen and Dimebag. Dimebag did it without scallops frets.
Scallop frets don't help you though. Like I've played on it, they really don't. The only thing they help is hammer-on and pull-offs are a little nicer and easier, but you can't. Sliding is a pain in the ass.
Does he not use them though, like a lot?
What? Malmsteen uses.
Malmsteen?
He
Is he just
uses
like-
them. He uses them a lot.
fucking
But
time,
to
like-
be honest, the only reason why he got scallop frets is because Richie Blackmore did them, and Richie Blackmore did it because hammer-on pull-offs are easier. But what that allows you to do is the kind of like Hendrix, like playing between the chords, allows you to phrase things differently. And then Richie Blackmore is a classical guy, so of course he's like, and I burp on that, so the notes. It's like that's the worst arpeggio ever. It's like that. What's that last note there? It's the womp.
Yeah.
What's
The
something?
key of wombo.
What's something you listened to and you thought you were never gonna be able to play, and you ended up playing it? For me, it's this classical piece I'm working on right now. It's Homage to Michael Hedges. Never thought in my life I'd be able to play it, but I'm gonna do it. I'm like about to finish it. I'm like, I just have like another.
First
page
time I
just to
played
work with.
Eruption, that has to take the cake.
Eruption.
See, here's the thing about Eruption that people don't realize: if you don't play on the right settings, it's never gonna sound right.
Yeah.
The first time I played it at a Guitar Center of all things. Of course, I had to wank my willy out and have everybody bow before me and bow before Zod. And I grabbed this really nice Fender and I plugged it into this, no joke, $250 Marshall amp, but it has like all the stuff on there. It has effects and stuff. Had a Van Halen setting. I put it on it. It's the sound for like Eruption. And it's with the phaser on and the delay and everything just right. And I just ripped through the whole song. And I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how like just effortless it came to me after like months of like trying to struggle with this thing of like, it doesn't sound right. It's like, yeah, I was trying to play it with like a light distortion.
Yeah.
On just like straight into an amp.
Yeah.
And then I got the right settings and it fell into place.
Yeah, the settings can really affect how you play.
Randy
Yeah.
Rhoads' Crazy Train, I learned the solo one time. I got through it. I'm like, never again. I'm like, I was so much to do it. And then I was just like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I learned that and I used to play it all the time. Just
Yeah,
to
I
like, try
did-
and keep myself up. Yeah.
I did it with a couple of Metallica songs too. I did it with one, and that was Just Your Life.
Yeah.
Because that was Just Your Life's a hard riff, and I was
Yeah?
like, "Yo, that's
It is.
never gonna happen." But the solo one, I finally got it one. But like, I did it once, and I was like, same thing. I was like, "All right, never again." I did it, so it's done. It's over.
What's one that you would love to be able to do? Like something like a track, like, I know we just kind of went over this, like one that you won't really be able to do, but this is one like, actually I'll change it up to fit exactly what I want to say. What's like a performance you wish you could replicate? And I'm going to go first to kind of give an example of what I'm looking for here. Dave Mustaine, Holy Wars, singing and playing that at the same time.
That's
I
ridiculous.
don't know that that's
I don't understand it.
like, I don't know how you can do the riffage and like it's You have to be, yeah, you have to be like so focused on a lot of different things at the same time. Or hell, anything off of Peace Cells, you know, like, or no, Killing Is My Business. There's some songs on there where the riffs are just not human, and he's singing on top of them. Mm-hmm. And for me, like, I remember when I was growing up, like, listening to these Megadeth, like, when I first listened all the way through Killing Is My Business, I'm like, how did he do it? Like,
you're like, Eric Clapton's hard to play while singing, and now
and like,
he's doing this.
I mean, there's like, the Killing Is My Business song. He's doing that and singing at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty crazy. Mechanics. I mean, I know that's a lot of like ding, 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 but it's still hard. And that is one thing you got to give Dave credit for, even if you are a Metallica fanboy who actually likes Reload.
Not as bad as Risk and Super Collider.
Oh, Super Collider's better than any Metallica.
Come on, Lulu, guys.
Yeah. Yo, we made fun of Lulu the other week. We were talking about Led Zeppelin. We were doing our intro.
It was in
and
the
then
intro,
just like in
yeah.
the intro, I'm just like,
Lulu.
I just
Hey,
bring
hey,
up Lulu.
hey, Divine Intervention by Slayer is better than all of them. Rain and Blood is the best album of the big four.
It's a good album, though.
It's overrated as hell.
But it's like the third best Slayer album.
No, it's not.
So
What did you say?
I'll answer the
not.
last.
Did you squeeze me?
I'll answer the last.
South
two
of Heaven and
questions.
Seasons in the Abyss are better than Rain and Blood.
Okay. I can even say that. That's my top three then. Like, what else?
Even
He's right.
what's
He's right.
even their debut is better than Rain and Blood.
Angel of Death. Angel of Death.
Do you ever play that? It's hard.
Oh, I'm
song.
sure it's hard.
It's a
But I
hard
can do the
song.
solo.
Yeah, saying that you accomplished a Slayer solo is not really saying a whole lot.
I never
the
thought
rest
I
of
could
the
play
song.
it note for note.
You figure out how to use the whammy bar, a little bit of the wah pedal, and you figure out what an unnatural harmonic is, and go. Wing!
There's no way Kerry King plays the same solo every time. Like, he's just fucking around every
yeah.
time. It has to be. It's like a live Grateful Dead song. Like, it's going wherever it goes.
Yeah.
Kerry King goes where he goes.
Oh, Kevin, say yours. I got one in my head, but
Yeah, well, the answer to the question that you asked before, I didn't answer it. There's a lot, like, I never said that there was a song particularly that I thought I couldn't learn, but solos, yeah, there's, like, a couple Lamb of God songs and stuff that, like, I thought I couldn't learn. Cowboys from Hell, I thought I wouldn't be able to do that.
That's a really hard one.
You get through it, and then you're just like, hell yeah, I'm fucking awesome. And, like, then you feel real good about yourself
Yeah.
when you do that, so... Yeah, that's my answer to that. I never really had a song, but solos, definitely.
that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
And your question was to the performance. I would say How the West Was One's like Whole Lot of Love.
Oh, okay.
Because he goes from his song that he made into all these like classic songs, and he just does it flawlessly. Just jumps between them, and the rest of the band just goes with it too, and it just fucking like it's amazing. I just think like him being able to flawlessly go between multiple different songs in his own song, and then just go back to it in the end. That's like that takes a little bit of composure there, like some skill. Yeah.
No, that's great.
Yeah, that was
I think, like, bumping off of that, like, mentioning those kind of things, I had a kind of one that's, like, a sidestep here, but, like, kind of similar. What's a performance of that, like, something not guitar, but you just respect it so much? Like, you're like, whoa, that was incredible.
Drums on Painkiller by Judas Priest.
Okay.
You know, like, I'm learning it, but, like, woof. You know?
Any
Lamb of
Neil
God
Peart song with drums.
Yeah.
Chris Adler, like beat that with double bass. Overrated. Oh my God.
I mean, there's some easy ones. I could just say all of Billy Sheehan's career on bass. I don't think that's a bad answer. Lots of Miles Davis stuff I could go with. But I'm going to go with the saxophone solo on Sign On You Crazy Diamond.
I could do that. Yeah, I could go with that. I could also go with the one on Asia by Steely Dan.
Okay, yeah.
The first concert I went to, I saw Ian Anderson and
Oh, okay.
like an
Ooh.
orchestra.
Time Machine Tour Rush bass solo.
And
Continue.
they had a violinist come up on stage. They also played Kashmir. They played Kashmir. That was cool. But they had a violinist come up, and she played The Godfather. I thought that was awesome.
Wow, nice.
That was one of the cooler ones I saw.
How about favorite guitar performance? We didn't do that one. I'm like, I kind of jumped over to a different instrument, but how about favorite guitar performance?
Live or in general?
We'll do studio, and then we'll do one for live. So do two. Because that could give you...
Oh, God. Oh,
I
where
could
do we
say a
even
lot of
begin?
Randy
I know, it's like Stairway. Just drop the ball right in. It's
I-
like the easiest answer.
I'd say Achilles' Last Stand just for my general one.
Okay.
There because, yeah. What was the other one?
Live.
The Live.
Silence.
I know this.
There's a couple.
I'll real quick say my studio. My studio would probably be Painkiller.
Oh, okay.
That's a guitar solo that...
The back and forth's really crazy on that. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's really good.
Dazed and Confused on Song Remains the Same. Is really good.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think my live would be So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star, that Mike Campbell, he did the solo. No, either that or It Ain't Nothing to Me on Pack Up the Plantation. Because Campbell improvs some stuff there.
Wow.
Nuts. Anyway, you.
I'm going to do my live one first, because I feel like my studio one's going to be pretty radical here. My live one is Grateful Dead, live at Cornell 78, Scarlet Begonias. The solo is perfect. Jerry Garcia nails everything. It's so nuanced. It's so jazz, fusion, rock, this flow of notes that all work but have no business working. His playing is just incredible on it. And I'm also going to give credit for Bob Weir for putting down a great rhythm track for him to really do some great playing on. So that's for that. And I go studio, Alice in Chains, Nutshell, mic drop, boom. I think that solo is incredible. Jerry, because the whole song's just like very dark. and then just like Jerry
Sad.
cuts in with this just like crazy. I'm also kind of doing it because I feel like if I just go with Stairway, Time, or Comfortably Numb, it's the most obvious answers ever. Nutshell, the solo on it, Jerry, it's
Yeah.
very like nuanced and like beautiful, and then he does this little run where he goes and
then he backs it off.
and then he does it again, and it's just so incredible because of how fast he plays it, how aggressive he plays it, but how well it sounds in the track.
How clean it is, too.
It's
clean.
Jerry is the sneakiest, best.
Jerry's
guitar
one of the
player.
most
Like,
underrated guitar players
yeah,
ever.
nobody gives him credit.
While I'm thinking about it, a guitar player that you used to like think was incredible, but now you're kind of like they're just kind of okay.
13-year-old me needs to know that Kirk Hammett. I thought Kirk Hammett at the time was incredible. I heard like the solo for one, and I'm like, it can't get better. And then I heard other stuff, and I was like, oh. And then that's not like taken away from Kirk Hammett.
And then you heard the early Kill 'Em All improv stuff Dave Mustaine did. And then you were like, my God, this guy's so much better than Marty Friedman.
I'm not that crazy. Marty Friedman's insane.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go with Kirk Hammett, though. I'm going to take that back. I'm going to go with... That's such a tough answer. I'll let somebody else go. You know, if somebody else has an answer, I'm going to think about it.
I would say the artist known as me.
I realize I'm not that good.
Oh, Jesus.
Oof.
Yeah, that's a hard
Is
question.
that your real answer
No,
there,
no, no.
Kevin?
That's a hard question because, like, I grew up liking, like, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, stuff like that. Like, I didn't realize that those people sucked at guitar. Like, because there was nothing to realize with that. So that's a hard one. Because
I wouldn't say he sucked at guitar.
No, I wouldn't say such a guitar. Like mine was, for
It's
example,
different.
was going to be like maybe like because like the first time I heard Zach Wild play, I was like, "Whoa, this guy's pretty nuts." But then like you hear him more, and you're like, "Oh, he's kind of like." The more you get, and the more you listen, the more you're kind of
Right,
like,
I'm not gonna say
he's
one trick
just
pony.
okay.
that was a bad.
you
That was a
know?
bad statement. I should say like overall, not as creative as most. Like the good ones. You know, like you could be a great guitar player, but if you're not creative, you'll play the same thing 50 times.
Man,
Yeah.
I mean, Keith Richards could write all the riffs under the sun, but like he's the Rolling Stones rhythm guitar player.
Yeah.
He only played on like 5 solos.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not gonna go with Keith Richards because Keith Richards wrote a billion more riffs than I ever will. So like a guy who like I realized his playing isn't as good as I thought
That'd
it
be
was.
a pretty big one to put on there. Eric Clapton.
This might be this might be a tough one. I guess a guy maybe I used to hold up to such high standards and then it kind of dropped a little bit. It's probably a guy like Yngwie Malmsteen. At one time I was like, holy shit, he can play everything under the sun. And then you realize
That's fair.
he's very limited
Yeah.
on his phrasings.
Yeah.
Now, you will not be able to play it like he does.
Fair enough.
Because those speeds are not achievable by a mortal human, you know. But, you know, how many Malmsteen riffs can I hum and anybody else is going to join in on it? Like, you know what I mean? And also, so many of his songs are these instrumental classical pieces, but a lot of them are like taken from, okay, that's from a Paganini song, or like, okay, that's from Beethoven, or that's Bach. Like, yeah, he could learn how to do it. Like, he learned how to play an orchestra worth of people by himself. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of, the mythicalness of it kind of faded away in my eyes, because I realized that, like, for me, emotion's more important than speed.
Here's one. It's not like a good representation because it's not like my favorite or like anywhere up near my favorite of a guitar player at all. But Kerry King.
That's fine.
You step
That's
in,
fine. Yeah.
walking into Kerry King, you're like, man, this guy's a monster guitar player. Are you kidding me? Like, he's fucking Slayer. Like,
He knows
does all the solos.
nothing.
And then you go and it's just like most of the
You
time.
realize that every solo is.
Yeah. So like
Chromatic as fuck.
like he's
Yeah.
he's where he is for a reason, but like he's limited.
He couldn't work in any other band.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
if
no.
it just a random AC/DC song, like, it gets to the Back in Black solo, and it just,
Yeah.
you know, Kill 'Em All, Kirk Hammett is
Someone
about
said
where
that.
he got
Someone
to.
said that like Kerry King would be awesome in Megadeth, and I'm like, no.
No,
He wasn't Megadeth for like a month.
for like a
or
month,
two.
but his solos would never fit Megadeth.
Yeah,
because it'd
no,
just be these
my God.
abysmal,
Dave Mustaine's just like,
atonal.
I got these other guys that you should go check out. His name's Tom.
Yeah, we found out that Tom Araya was on an Alice in Chains song.
Oh yeah,
I already knew that.
I found out that
that's interesting.
He was on a hidden track on Dirt. It's called Iron Gland.
Yeah.
And it's just a weird, like, 1 minute long thing, and he's just doing this thing. I am Iron Gland. It's this
He's on
big,
Soulfly, I
big
think.
scream. It's,
I think it's
awesome.
Soulfly. He's on it.
By the way, Tom Araya, really bad bass player.
Oh yeah,
you-
but he's singing at the same time.
Yeah, but like, have you ever heard like the isolated bass tracks?
No.
They're so bad.
Oh, on what?
Oh, huh?
On what album?
Just in general.
Any of them?
Of what?
What do you mean of what?
Oh, what Slayer? Any Slayer song?
Were you not listening to anything that we were saying?
Well, he's probably
I
just
gotta
hoping
message.
he stays in key while he sings, and then that's what he's doing.
But like, I didn't even know if he played and sang at the same time. Some of the stuff, you know, I don't know if he did or
for
not.
all of it. No, but he does play and sing at the same time.
It's just I
He's
know.
not like going like
Like on the studio
like,
stuff, I'm just trying to. I don't know if he. I don't know.
I think they have a different bass player.
It's so bad. It's so fucking
So bad.
bad.
Really?
Oh yeah, no. They have like
It's
what is
just
it?
not on beat or like
Like the South of Heaven. Oh yeah, it's off time and it's just the tone's really bad. And it's just
Here's a
it's
random,
just kind of random crap.
bass fact. You know, in the Doors, they didn't have a bass player, so they actually had someone sit in and play bass on the records. And then when they played live, Ray Manzarek would play it with his feet on the yeah.
And that's where Geddy Lee got the idea to do his bass thing with the feet too. Because with Rush, he would play like he would do keyboard with his hands, bass with his. Well, there'd be times where he'd be playing bass with his hands, keyboard with his feet. He had like the keyboard from Big was on stage. Boom, 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 boom. But he would do that, play bass, and sing at the same time, and it's like
that's how it makes it work for them. Because like the bass player for Wolfmother, he jumps between the piano and that. So
Eddie Van Halen did the same thing.
Doing bass with your feet instead. So
heck, somebody from Black Sabbath had to do the synth stuff on a couple of their tracks. So I guess
Ozzy.
I
guess they just had songs. Oh yeah,
Randy Rhoads was the keyboard because he played every instrument.
No, they had
and had
else.
Randy Rhoads not died, the rest of Ozzy's albums would have been A+s.
They might
and
have
not
had,
mediocre.
They might have had one more with Randy on it, and then he would have been like a classical player, probably.
He would have left. No, he goes back to Quiet Riot, and he's like, "Come on, feel the."
I could see him going and being like a teacher at a school, being like a university teacher.
Yeah.
Well, fun fact, I had mentioned George Lynch earlier on my thing. Like, he was a big guy when I was like kind of learning and everything, because like my dad was like, "Oh, you gotta check this guy out." He was supposed to be Ozzy's guitar player, and then something happened. Like, he decided to take a teaching job. And so Randy Rhoads got the job. Like, he had beat out Randy Rhoads for the guitar job somehow. I mean, he's an incredible player, and Randy Rhoads is an incredible player. They're very different players, but I barely even talked about him. But, like, George Lynch does a lot of crazy stuff. He could keep up with Yngwie Malmsteen, which that's a big task, like, speed-wise. Mm-hmm. Like, he did some really wicked stuff. He's a really underrated guy. I still like George Lynch to death. I still think he's a fantastic player and a lot of that stuff. But I think over time, I think we all kind of said this, like our tastes have kind of changed enough where they're kind of fitting like a different maturity level.
Sometimes, yeah.
And I know, like, for me, like, it's, you know, I'm really into like Van Morrison, Miles Davis, Bob Dylan, and David Bowie now. Like, you can't do... You can't do those solos on those songs. It just doesn't work. So...
Yeah, well, I always liked metal songs that always like had that one part where it just slowed down to like this really melodical.
The Metallica thing from Master
Wouldn't even
Puppets
say
and One and stuff like that.
Yeah, but they did it, pull it off nicely.
Yeah.
Like, so you have that little part. That's what I prefer in a lot of metal music. I always like that slow down part, but I also really like the heavier parts too.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see contrasts.
Yeah.
In music. But you got another next bulletin? Any more bulletins?
We haven't done this one. I think this is I think we should do favorite riff and then favorite solo, and then I think that's everything I had.
Favorite riff, God.
Favorite
and
riff.
Favorite solo.
He's pulling some hard ones.
I'm going
God
with Street Fighting Man for my favorite riff of all time from the Stones.
Okay.
Jing jing. It's pretty simple. Jing 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 jing. The way it just sounds perfect to me. Like, their acoustic, I don't know how they got it to sound the way it did, because there's no way I've ever been able to replicate that kind of beautiful sound. Mm-hmm. The Stones, I mean, they really did a lot with their sound.
They're amazing.
Oh yeah, their rhythm section's like you ain't gonna touch the stuff.
Keith Richards is a homestyle name for a reason. Like, he is known for a reason. Name the lead guitar player for the Stones.
I can name all of them, but that's because I'm a big time fan. So
I know, but like the layman people, it's just like, what, you got Keith Richards.
People back in the day could have told you Brian. Brian Jones, but then he died, and then it's like, who do we got? And then they kept progressing, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a really.
They have
hard
Ron
question.
Wood now. Ron Wood's good. He's been with them for 38 years, 39 years. So he's been there longer than anybody else.
Yeah.
But like, there's him. There's Mick Taylor. Mick Taylor was a great guitar player, it's just he never got the front stage because Mick and Keith were never gonna let anybody else upstage him, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So for me, I'm gonna go favorite riff is Street Fighting Man. Actually, no. I guess technically, I don't know if that technically. I mean, chord strumming counts as a riff, right? We counting that, or I mean, there's some nuance in the playing.
That's what I was kind of counting that in to a riff.
You can, yeah.
I mean, if we're not counting it, then I guess I'd say
Because you said solo, and I just figured that like you had the riff and the.
maybe
solo
I'll just
as
go
two
Jumpin'
different things.
Jack's Flash with the riff because that's very iconic.
Yeah.
That's so great. Solo, favorite solo of all time. I mean that's incredibly hard, but I have to go Time, Pink Floyd. I mean, I know. Oh, well, there's so much great stuff out there. Well, and that's why it's like riff and solo together for a package. That's why it's like there's so many choices. It's like
fuck this question.
I
man.
know.
I hate it.
Fuck
You
this
know what? Like
question.
fuck the
I hate
question.
this
We're gonna
question.
retire this question.
God.
It was no good. And that's why like putting it together like combo. You know what? We could just go favorite riff, and then I'll just go with Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Can't fucking answer that one.
You can't answer that one either.
That's
God
still
damn
a
it.
really hard question.
Immigrant
God.
Song, Heartbreaker. I mean, like you
Okay,
just
like
go to all
favorite
Zeppelin.
riff. Favorite riff, like there's so
All on the
many,
Watchtower.
but I like different ones for different reasons.
Yeah.
Like my favorite metal riff is That Was Just Your Life. Because it's
Wow.
fucking awesome and it's hard as shit. My favorite classic rock riff might be like Making Some Noise, Tom Petty. My favorite like fucking God fuck this.
See,
I hate this
like-
question, dude.
Well, that's why it's so hard to be
hate
like,
this
what's your
question.
favorite?
God.
It's like,
Yeah,
how about,
there's
I
too
can give you
much
100 great
variety.
ones.
Yeah.
Like,
I fucking love like Josie by Steely Dan. You know, like
Yeah.
I've always loved that riff too. But I love there's a Cake song I love, Satan Is My Motor. That's a great fucking riff. Ugh, fuck you.
See,
Fuck
there's
this
like
question.
Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You is a soft one.
oh yeah.
Then there's Cashmere is like the good progression the whole time. Then there's like Achilles' Last Stand. You got the intro there. Just the intro part is pretty good. And then you got like Randy Rhoads. You go to Sado. Like it all sounds good together. Like
Yeah.
picking one out of so many.
Yeah,
like,
it's so hard.
I'm sure there is one that like just that one riff that like, you hear and it's like and like you always get like
That'll
that,
get your.
hair-raising
Oh
shit,
well,
like,
for
yeah.
that it's Jar of Flies or it's a Rotten Apple
Yeah.
Jar of Flies because the one that and that comes in, I just always get chill. It's like oh, here we go.
I love Pearl Jam Yellow Lead Better. That raises the hair on my arms. When I hear that boom, boom, nah. We are back online.
A little,
All right, yeah,
little
there it goes.
technical difficulties there, but
Yeah, my headphones pulled the thing off there. That's fine. You didn't miss a lot. It's just we're basically done.
No, you guys missed the last, like, we talked for an hour and a half
yeah,
after
dude,
that.
Sorry
Like,
about that.
We've been talking for almost 2.5 hours.
That's good.
But yeah, if you guys like have any of these questions pertain to you, just let us know in the comments, and it would be
Yeah,
interesting to hear your
Their answers,
Yeah.
you know?
If you have ideas for questions,
Yeah,
let
yeah,
us
ideas
know
for
too.
give us answers.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
While I'm at it, don't forget to subscribe.
Definitely.
Like, favorite, comment, and
Yeah,
subscribe.
let people know
Love
about our
me.
podcast if you think that they would like it.
Share with all of your people because we need numbers.
smash that motherfucking like button.
Yo, you guys already subscribed to PewDiePie and Smoosh, so you should definitely come over and try out the guys, you know.
They're gone.
Don't you know? Try the guys talking about stuff. You know, nothing's better than the Da Bears. You know?
There's Mike goes down.
And I'm down.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to touch
Man, that's
on
right. They couldn't hear that.
before we
Your mic game's a
wrap
little
it
off.
up here, you guys?
You're gonna turn it up way too fucking.
How to clip when whispering.
I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I mean,
Yeah, we've touched on a good amount.
We've
of topics
touched
here. We
everything.
got-
there was all the touching.
Could do like most overrated guitar player.
Ooh, Skrillex. I have proof. There's a list that has it on there. So
God, because like there's a lot you could say.
That's always
Harry
a personal
King,
opinion
Zach
there, right
Wilde.
there.
But
'cause,
like even then, some.
most overrated
like-
Billy Joel
It's like,
Armstrong.
well, it's like, did John Lennon deserve to be number 36 in the top 100 greatest guitar players of all
What?
time?
Really?
Fucking no.
George
Like,
Harrison is
absol-
much better than John. Now he was like 14.
He was 11.
Okay, nice. Most overrated guitar player. I mean, I think the obvious answer is Jimi Hendrix.
I was
Yeah.
and
gonna
that's
say
not
that.
because he's bad. Like Jimi
He's
Hendrix
great.
is top 10. Like
Yeah.
I'm not joking. He's in my top 10, no doubt.
But he's not
every
number
fucking
one.
list has him number one.
But like
every single person
influential alone, I mean, like, you know, that's to me that's
Les
not like
Paul's
that
more
doesn't give the
influential than
greatest.
Jimi Hendrix because he
Yeah.
invented the electric guitar. So like Mike,
You know, but
Bob
then like
Dylan,
Bob Dylan
Influenced
See, I
the
think-
Beatles
he
and everybody.
influenced Jimi Hendrix. So
I
like,
don't know. George Harrison was in the greatest band ever, so maybe
so
that.
I think Kurt Cobain is extremely overrated as far as guitar
I'll
goes.
give you
I
that.
mean,
I'll
You
give
got to
that.
figure like he's
From
in a
technical
top.
ability standpoint,
sure.
yeah.
Like he gets a
I
lot
mean,
of
he's like-
attention. He
I've
gets
heard
way
people say that
too
he's
much
the best,
attention.
and it's just
He's
like,
not.
What?
He's not.
He's not.
he
on
was
our list.
melodic.
He's not really on
and
like.
he fit the songs.
He fit the
Which-
song.
it's
But like,
two of the hardest things to do, though.
Pete Townsend.
You
Oh,
think,
yeah.
You think Pete Townsend's overrated?
You were
he's
putting
like
him
the
on
guy-
that list.
His
I would-
solos are not that.
I
like,
mean, he's
spectacular.
literally the
I mean,
Who,
like,
though.
I
wouldn't
understand
say
You
that,
realize
like,
that
I wouldn't say that
maybe,
he's
uh,
overrated. Nobody's
he's like Jimmy Page. They
maybe
are
so.
their band.
Maybe
Like-
so.
like people.
I don't know.
Like
I
you
just- I had
said,
a
they,
thought, I
people
don't know.
like when you talk about the Who, it's the Who. Like
Yeah,
you talk
like-
about the whole Who, no one's ever like Pete Townsend did this,
Yeah,
and it wasn't.
I
a
don't think
good
he is overrated
idea.
because I don't think people talk about him in a way that they're not like
I think
Jimi Hendrix,
I
Pete
think
Townsend.
I think Pete Townsend is actually underrated.
Yeah, I actually would say that too because he was the Who.
Yeah,
Like,
a lot
he
of
was
people like he's not brought up a lot, and he like Behind Blue Eyes and
I
stuff.
mean,
like
we could
that,
do underrated guitar players too. So we could do
Yeah, yeah.
overrated, underrated. Mark Knopfler is my underrated guy. You listen to Sultans of Swing.
Mike Campbell's my underrated guy.
Oh, yeah.
Him and
well, I'm glad
Danny.
he's playing with Fleetwood Mac now.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
because he's
Danny
getting a good.
Danny Diaz.
Yeah,
Holy fuck!
yeah.
Danny Diaz is so underrated. Not even funny. My God.
My overrated. So I'm going Mark Knopfler for underrated. I don't think people give him enough credit with his really finger picking and stuff. Another guy, don't laugh. Bob Dylan had to do a lot of crazy stuff while he's singing. A lot of his finger picking stuff's a lot harder than you think. Like, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right is not a simple thing to play and sing at the same time, and it's not even that easy to play. It's kind of hard.
You know what's funny? Like being a
different
guitar
style.
player, you would definitely know this. Playing that finger pick style or like
Oh,
doing
yeah,
that,
it's not
It's
easy.
so much easier for you to do though.
yeah,
Like if you do it a certain way, you're like, that's easy. Like I got it. But if someone else tries to learn that, they're like, what the fuck are you doing there?
yeah.
Classical guitar player says you're wrong. No.
Well, I mean, if you write a classical song and it's genuinely like you're writing it from feeling, it's going to be easier for you to play than anyone learning it.
Yeah.
Unless there's some like amazing player that's just like, I heard it once. Like,
Yeah.
Mozart.
yeah.
Oh,
Mozart.
Underrated Brian Setzer.
yeah.
Heavily, so fucking heavily underrated. Underrated Chet Atkins
Okay.
sometimes too.
So yeah, I think what I went overrated with Jimi Hendrix, and it's not even because he's. I would say Jimi Hendrix is one of the top 10 guitar players of all time. A lot of stuff he did was influential, melodical, great playing, very intense, very energetic. But you've got 3 albums with Jimmy. And I know that's
He died.
circumstantial, you know.
He died.
But I think so many people go, well, he died at 27. Look at what he would have done. And it's like, there's a lot of people who have a period of great stuff and then it kind of goes down a little bit. And those guys, quote unquote, fade away. It's like, it's better to burn out than fade away. It's like, and when it comes to
Neil
guitar
Young.
rankings, but like Jimmy Page, I feel is more influential than Jimi Hendrix. And somebody could fight me about that. But like Jimmy Page built Led Zeppelin. It basically invented hard rock, which basically invented metal. And everybody from the Black Keys to Van Halen, you can hear Zeppelin in their songs.
See, the thing is everyone says like they're the best, but like they're the best at something, but they're not the best. Like
Who?
Jimi Hendrix.
Oh yeah.
very good at like triads and other like
Oh,
his little
yeah.
like add-on notes and stuff. Amazing. He's one of the best at it.
Oh yeah.
So like yeah, he's the best at that. But like
Can
if he
do
tried
it?
to play like Eric Clapton type style music, he's not the best at that. Mm-hmm. There's other people that are better than him at that. Like, you know, like
And that's where like best and all that. That's where it gets hard,
Yeah,
you know,
that's-
because it's like, is Ringo Starr one of the greatest drummers in the world? Yeah. Can he play Lamb of God? No.
exactly.
Oh,
But
yeah,
sometimes
absolutely
you have to figure, can Lamb of God play,
Play the Beatles.
Beatles? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
They could probably play it, but not the way that
It'd be,
Say,
it would be
play-
Lamb
play
of
it-
God
yeah,
playing.
yeah.
Play it
exactly,
that
yeah.
influentially, play it the same way? Nah.
if you ask Chris
Not
Adler
gonna
to play
happen.
the Beatles, he'd probably say no. He'd probably be like, "Are you kidding me?"
That's not metal.
I'd be like, he'd be like, "I can't play that slow. Like that's too like." I'm 100 beats above that. Like,
Yeah.
all the time.
Dave Murray, Iron Maiden, underrated.
Underrated, yeah. I
Heavily
mean, all the
underrated.
guys from Iron Maiden.
That's
I
fair.
think
All the guys from Judas Priest, I think, are underrated.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know, KK Downing, man, he's a big part of things, but nobody's gonna sit there and go KK Downing, top guitar player. You never hear it.
yeah.
Rolling Stone, nowhere on their list did they have Steve Vai or Joe Satriani. I mean, I understand you're going for influence, and people obviously have to vote for them. So
Can
they
we
have to know who
take
they
Can we
are.
take fucking Jack White and John Lennon off that list and put them on it?
Yeah, I mean, Steve
real.
Vai.
I don't see
watch
how-
him play anything and believe that that's human.
I don't
Like,
see Randy Rhoads on a lot of those lists.
Randy Rhoads isn't on a lot.
That's-
Rolling
he's
Stone
underrated.
did give him credit, but they only put him like 58th, and it's like
Alex Lyson's kind of underrated too.
Alex
Yeah,
Lyson's
that's
incredibly
funny.
underrated. He wasn't even on the list, or he was way.
He's
high.
99.
99.
He was like 99 or 98 or something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
right. Angus Young was like 93rd, and I'm like, what? I'm like the guy who's like pretty much single-handedly known for being the AC/DC guy.
I think it's funny how Rolling Stone's still like a like viable resource because they have such a history of being a horrible fucking resource.
See, I agree with them on some things. Sometimes like they're like, well, the Beatles are amazing. I'm like, of course they are. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's in there, but then
but
you
then
look,
they're like, Led Zeppelin 1 sucks.
they
and it's
well,
just like,
yeah,
what?
they did their top 100 artists of all time, and Pink Floyd was like 53rd, and I laughed out loud. I'm like 53rd.
And it's like, how old is the person that's
like-
doing this review? Are they
I'm
like 16? And then like,
Pink Floyd has sold more albums than I could list off. Almost
I mean-
everybody except for the Beatles, Elvis, and Led Zeppelin.
all right, now
Pink
hold
Floyd
on now.
sold more records than
Hold on
everybody else ever.
Album sales don't
They're not the end all
matter
tell all.
immediately.
I know.
That's a-
but Dark Side of the Moon
still
is.
tells a lot.
I mean, in my opinion, and I think I'm kind of right on this. Dark Side of the Moon's the most iconic album ever made, and it's like you put and on their album list that was 43rd. They had it behind Patti Smith Horses or whatever,
heard of
which it's not bad, but it's like 70. It's punk music, and I'm like, I've never heard a punk song or punk anything that I ever thought could compete with anything Pink Floyd composed because
I
there's a
think if
difference
it's- I
between
think if
writing a
there's
song and
list of
composing.
best something, everyone that reads that list should have heard of that thing.
Yeah.
to be on the list because like I didn't hear that thing.
I mean, not necessarily. You know, like it doesn't have. I don't think it has to be that way.
No,
But if
doesn't-
it's like the
it's
top
like-
10 and it's like the world population of who thinks it's popular, and then there's like a band that nobody's heard before, and it's just like, well, how the fuck did they get in the top?
Well, I mean,
10?
nobody, but like it shouldn't have to
because
be like
India
everybody.
listens to it, and they're the third of the world.
I mean,
like,
all right, there's that, but then it's like what you were saying before, though. It's like if I had never heard of Pantera before, and you were like, "Vulgar Display of Power" is the best. Like, if it was like the best metal album of all time, I'm like, "Well, I never heard of it. Does that mean it shouldn't be in the top thing?" No, it's because I'm.
Dimebag wasn't.
It's
on
because
that
I.
list,
It's
though.
because I listen to top 40 radio and nothing else, and I don't know it.
Okay,
you
but I
know?
should say if you're like like you listen to a lot of different type of music and you've never heard of it. That's more of what I meant.
Yeah.
Not like if you're ignorant
Well,
to a
if
genre
you look at the
and
vote-
then they
well,
put it in there.
When
and
you
then
look at the
you're like-
voters who voted on their top like guitar players and albums and artist lists, like Coldplay voted. Like if you look at who voted, like it's not these people who've studied music their whole lives. They had like Coldplay voted and a bunch of other people, and then you're sitting there. I was like, Dimebag Darrell wasn't on your guitarist list. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, name 2 guitar players from the '90s who could play better than Dime. You're not gonna find 2. I would argue Jerry
Alive
Cantrell,
in the
but like
90s or during it?
Better than Dime.
yeah. Yeah, see, that's why it's like... Yeah, I know, and that's why it's like top 100 guitar players ever. Is Dimebag Darrell not in your top 100? He's definitely in my top 50.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, like
definitely way below that. Like,
Like-
are you kidding me?
like he might make it at like 23 because of like
Yeah.
so like somewhere. I mean, he could really be anywhere. But if you want to talk about influential, tell me every metal band hasn't been ripping off Pantera for the last 25, 26-ish years. Everybody just tries to get heavier and heavier, and it's all because Pantera set a new bar of like heaviness. And
Yeah, but some
Moscow.
people go way too far over that.
oh, people went way too far.
Yeah.
It was like,
Moscow breakdown of domination.
yeah,
You can't get any heavier than that.
yeah.
Have you heard that breakdown?
No,
You haven't heard the 91 Moscow version of Domination that Pantera did?
no.
That's the #1 heaviest breakdown in metal. Like, these kids now would die if they listened to fucking Pantera.
Yeah.
They wouldn't survive. No fucking way. No fucking way. I think
There's
we've
no F in way.
I think we've done a pretty good
No, that's pretty deep. I think that's the guitar podcast.
Yeah.
Guys talk about guitar.
This is Kevin.
This is Alex,
This is Josh
and we are the guys.
talking about stuff.
Yeah. You guys have a good day now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. What the fuck was that? On my couch? You fucking... We're in my house, you swine.
We're gonna cut this out, right?
God, no.
Nope.
It's going to be a long fade.
That's the best.
Josh farts in my
ending
house,
right
no
there.
problem. I fart on his guitar.
I'm not an obnoxious fucking Neanderthal about it, you fucking deranged animal.
You subhuman primate.
And Kevin's the one with the fucking big hair and
Yeah.
curly fucking fro.
I was
He's like,
born with a hat.
Kevin got a free hat.
he was born.